It's time for Twig This Week at Google. Jeff Jarvis is here. Stacey Higginbotham's here. Mr. Ant Pruitt's here. And I'm back from Hawaii. We got lots to talk about, including the NSO spyware revelation. Yes, it affects Google as well. Why you may want to avoid dark mode. How to hack your Tweetdeck. And why does Jeff Bezos' rocket ship look like that? It's all coming up next on Twig.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust. This is Twig.
This is Twig. This Week in Google, episode 621, recorded Wednesday, July 21st, 2021. Put another lettuce on the Barbie. It's time for Twig, This Week in Geek. I'm going to rename it, since we never talk about Google.
Yeah, we do.
Ostensibly This Week in Google, the show where we really talk about whatever we feel like, generally internet stuff. Stacey Higginbotham is here. She's the IoT and CPU expert on the show, Stacey on IoT.com. Good to see you, Stacey, in the Pacific Northwest.
Good to be here.
Sun is shining.
Excited you're back.
Yes. Thank you to the Jeff Jarvis, who both celebrated his birthday and hosted the show last Wednesday. Hi, Jeff Jarvis.
Good to have you back. I was honored to sit in the virtual chair.
The virtual chair.
Not to screw up.
Well, you didn't get to sit in
He
the
did a
real
good
chair.
job, Leo.
He did.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Of course, I knew he would. He's a college professor. He's a man of many degrees. He's a storied TV Guide critic.
He was once called a bum.
He is the... I don't have the card, so I'm just vamping at this point. He is the Leonard Tao Professor for Journalistic Innovation at the... Newark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. And that's Ant Pruitt providing our...
Oh, my goodness.
Sartorial splendor.
He's wearing a tie, mostly because you gave him a hard time, Jeff, for wearing a tie on Tech News Weekly last week.
I was hurt. You know, what are we? Chopped liver? He doesn't dress up for us. I see him on the next show, and there he is, all dressed up.
We're friends, Jeff. You shouldn't be hurt. You should be honored that he's hanging with us.
That was all for Mr. Sargent. Y'all know I love Mr. Micah Sargent. And that man walks around here, and he's always looking so sharp, and he makes me feel really, really old.
For us, Ant's wearing his slippas today. That's what, by the way, in Hawaii, I learned you call them not flip-flops, slippas. Slippas. Slip-ons.
New York input.
Slip-ons. Anyway, hello, and how did everything go while in my absence? Jeff, you did a great job. Belated happy birthday to you.
There was only one moral panic.
Only one?
Yeah, I think there was one.
Yeah,
right?
That was it, yeah.
I'll be curious what kind of reaction we get to the big story of the week, which is the NSO spyware. Of course, it was a big story on MacBreak Weekly because iPhones were impacted. Actually, iPhones were more impacted than Google phones, but probably mostly because it was difficult for researchers to tell if the Google phones were hacked. NSO is an Israeli company that provides, well, we'll call it spyware. They call it...
It is what it is.
You know, infiltration software designed to get into people's phones. And they claim that they are very careful. They have a board, and they're very careful who they sell their software to. But an investigation that has been going on for some time finally went public. The Pegasus project went public. Was done by Amnesty International and an NGO called what was it? I forgot the name. Forbidden Stories, a Paris-based journalism nonprofit. They got a list of 50,000 phone numbers. It's unclear where this list came from, by the way.
Yeah, there's no idea from that.
They're a little cagey. What they did is they did their research, did a lot of research on this, and then passed the story along to the Washington Post and the Guardian and let them write their stories on it. But so these phone numbers, according to the Post, were concentrated in countries known to engage in surveillance of their citizens, but also known to have been clients of the NSO group. It doesn't identify, no one identifies where the numbers came from. It's unknown how many of the phones were targeted or surveilled, but forensic analysis was performed on the 37 smartphones that they were able to get that were hacked, and shows, according to the Post, a tight correlation between timestamps associated with a number on the list and the initiation of surveillance. In some cases, just a few seconds. So it sounds like the list was auto-generated as the phones were hacked, probably then came from the NSO group, and that's why we might assume this 50,000 phone list is a list of all phones that have been hacked. The numbers on the list are unattributed, but reporters doing a lot of work figured out that many of them belong to well-known political figures, including Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, several Arab royal family members, 65 business executives, 85 human rights activists, 189 journalists, and more than 600 politicians and government officials, including cabinet ministers, diplomats, military and security officers, several heads of states and prime ministers.
Any and everybody that you'd want to shut down.
It actually not shut down.
This isn't actually
listen to,
just
spy
listen
on.
to, and this isn't the first issue. NSO back in 2019, the same organization, WhatsApp, a company called Citizen Labs, it is a research lab at the University of Toronto. They actually determined that governments were using the NSO software to break into WhatsApp accounts.
Right.
So
what's scary about this is that the NSO group, they collect holes, flaws, security exploits, do not reveal them to the company responsible for them, which is the normal way you would disclose these exploits so they can be fixed, but instead hold on to them and in effect weaponize them, then sell these weaponized hacks to these governments. They say, we don't sell it to repressive governments, only good governments, although at least one set was sold to Viktor Orban, the somewhat repressive prime minister of Hungary.
All of this sounds quite interesting.
He feels pretty repressive.
Yeah. The scary thing is some of these exploits, at least one of the iPhone exploits was a zero-click exploit. So, for instance, as an example, Khashoggi's fiancé, Khashoggi, of course, the Saudi Arabian journalist who was murdered, we think, by the Saudi Arabians, dismembered in the embassy for writing critical pieces about the Saudi royal family. Her phone was one of the 37 phones analyzed, had been hacked. It was an iPhone, it was an up-to-date iPhone with the latest version of iOS at the time on it. And it had been hacked by what they call a zero-click. In other words, you get a message on iMessage that without your acting upon it, reading it, even knowing it's there, then compromises your phone and allows this spyware to turn on the microphone, turn on the camera, see all the data.
You know the message is there.
In this case, she did, although it's possible once they compromise the phone to delete the message. So you may not, in fact, ever know, and most of these people did not know that they had been compromised. There is a tool now that you can download and look at your logs and find out if you've been compromised. But I think most of us don't have to worry. They're pretty. This looks like this software is mostly used by nation states to spy on dissidents and other states' politicians. So most of these phones, all but 3 were iPhones. 3 were Android phones. Although if you're an Android user, that shouldn't give you any good feelings. Might some Schadenfreude, but maybe not not any feeling of security, because that's only because Android phones delete those logs automatically, and those logs are what were used to analyze.
Does this have to
phones.
be? How do I ask this? Does this have to be intentionally aimed at a given phone?
Yes.
Or
this is not a mass
attack.
attack.
Can I stupidly pass something on?
No.
And they get it because I'm
clearly
dumb?
targeted.
This is not a mass attack. In some cases, the compromise requires that the spy has to have access to the network, maybe the phone network. So that's why it's often used by countries, governments who do have access to their country's phone network. It's always targeted. And there's actually, there was a good article by one of my favorite crypto guys from Johns Hopkins, Matthew Green, who talked about something called security nihilism.
Oh, boy.
When this comes up, a lot of times, in fact, on MacBreak Weekly, it came up. What are you going to do if a nation state wants to spend millions in resources to attack a single individual? It's almost impossible to defend against them, which, you'll hear that a lot. And it is, to be fair, I've even said it's somewhat true. I remember a security expert saying, look, the normal person walking down the street in a big city is safe, but if a team of ninjas decides to attack Aunt Pruitt, there's not much we can do about that.
They better pack a lunch.
Yeah.
That's going to take a while. But there's not much we can do to defend ourselves if we are the target of an attack. Matthew writes that he says, a case against security nihilism. A perverse reaction I've seen from some security experts is to shrug and say, well, there's no such thing as perfect security. More concretely, some folks argue this kind of well-resourced targeted attack is fundamentally impossible to prevent. At the extremes, this argument is not wrong. The NSO is not some script kiddie toy. Deploying it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars, and fighting attackers with that level of resources is always difficult. But
this is a never-ending story.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Still, he says, that doesn't mean today's versions of those products, Apple and Google, doesn't mean they're doing everything they could be to stop attacks. There is certainly more that corporations like Apple and Google could be doing to protect their users, but the only way we're going to get those changes is if we demand them. Well, Apple, it's a little bit of a cat and mouse game, so Apple is always trying to improve stuff. They added something recently called Blast Door, which is an effective firewall. I'll give you an example of the reason Apple gets hit by this stuff easily. iMessage uses a variety of programs, not all from Apple, many of them quite old, to render the media, the pictures, the audio, and the video that come in iMessages. Mm-hmm. And those things are often vectors for attacks. We've seen this on Windows as well as Apple stuff, that anything that interprets data is potentially compromisable. Something like Adobe Acrobat.
Yeah, Acrobat was the biggest one.
Constantly a problem. So Apple's stuff is very hard to fix. Very old. They're very dependent. It would effectively require a complete rewrite of iMessage. So what Apple did is they put up a firewall called Blast Door. But according to Matthew Green and these most recent attacks, even Blast Door was insufficient to protect people against the most recent attacks. Many of these attacks were against iPhones with iOS 14.6 on them, which is not quite the latest because Apple released a new one yesterday, interestingly, right at the same time as the story came out. So Apple needs to do more. Yes, they're doing Blast Door, but that wasn't enough. Maybe they do need to rewrite iMessages. Yes, that'll be expensive, complicated, and more.
They can afford it.
To Apple's concern is that it might cause incompatibilities, and a certain percentage of people it's gonna break things. He says, but we still need to do it, and the thing we need to do is demand that they do a better job.
I wonder what that percentage is, because they always have the push to get people on a newer device because certain versions of the OS won't work on those older devices, and nobody seems to fuss. Why not just continue to go down that road and say, hey, we're having some issues security-wise, and we really want to make sure everybody's up to snuff.
Part of the problem is Khashoggi's fiance said, and others I think have said the same thing, but I was using an iPhone because they're secure.
Oh, yeah, there's that.
And a late model.
What if Apple added there's us normal people who might not be worried. If you're in a certain field, like if you're the president of a country or the head of the spy agency or a head of an NGO or an activist, you would be interested in paying more for a highly secured phone. And maybe Apple could create a package for those people that's slightly more active, would break some functionality, but still... And, it can work on their existing hardware. I'm just trying to think because not everybody's going to want to do something because most of us value convenience far more than security. So is there...
Same with PCs. I mean, you're right, Stacey. It's if you use Google's hardware thing, it limits functionality, but it makes... Thank you for putting the actual language in there. I appreciate that. What's the thing called again?
The Titan key?
Thank you. The Titan thing. So you lose functionality, but you believe you have more security. So the question is, what would that equivalent be for people who are vulnerable?
By the way,
for a vulnerable phone.
Titan keys were compromised at one point, so
Yeah.
nothing's. But that's the point. Nothing's perfect.
Yeah.
But try, and you got to really push Google and Apple. It's so important. You got to make it. Basically, what Matthew Green's arguing is you got to make it economically unfeasible for NSO Group to continue in business. Right now, they can do it because they can do these They can do 50,000 phone numbers.
What about the phone companies?
They too. They're absolutely. A perfect example is all the phones, including the late model phones we all use, have SS7 in it, which is a software-defined radio that's used by cell phones. It's hideously insecure and is well known to be insecure. And in fact, the security flaws are well known. And really can't be fixed. They're actually, SS7 is not a software, it's a set of protocols, but it's a very insecure set of protocols, and it's not been fixed.
We have Google doing monthly updates to Android, air quote security updates, and Microsoft doing theirs. Is that not enough anymore? Is it safe to say that? Is it asking them too much to do every?
It's enough for you and me, for sure. But this is the question. If you're a dissident or, Stacey, I hate to say it, a journalist. I mean, journalists are just as often.
Certain kind. Like, I'm less worried about being hacked.
I don't think the IoT industry is out to get you, but.
But yes, no. For certain types of journalists,
they know enough.
It is.
Yeah.
No, there are certain stories that I am very like. There are certain things when I report on them or I talk to people at specific companies, I have a set of security protocols that I enact to talk to them, just to make sure I'm not screwing their lives over.
Nice.
Not like literal lives, but just like so they don't get fired.
But so what should Khashoggi's fiance do, knowing that she and her fiance are? Well,
that's why I think there's a market for some sort of.
I guess.
I mean, you could use just a burner. You could. I'm trying to think of all the ways that people have gotten around this by,
Well, burners don't have iMessage, for one thing.
Nope.
And number two, if you've got a government involved, when I sat in the editor's office at The Guardian in the midst of the Snowden story, and they thought they were doing the right thing with burners, and no, a preponderance of burners in an area is a great signal.
Right. And these days, by the way, a lot of burners are running old Android.
You don't want to waste money.
Yeah, right. It's a bad situation, and I guess
what's NSO sell? What do they say is the benefit of using NSO? How do they, with apparent legitimacy, say this is a good thing to have?
Oh God, you should hear their statement. It is nauseating.
Fantastic.
It is offensive. Let me see if I can find it, because if I got to read this to you, because first of all I can use a really nerdy voice for it. It is. I was so offended. Let me see. NSO Group firmly denies false claims made in your report. Let me see. This is anyway. They deny it, but let me see why they say they're a good thing. And it's a long denial. They say we had nothing to do with the heinous murder of Jamal Khashoggi. We can confirm, of course, offering no evidence, that our technology was not used to listen, monitor, track, or collect information regarding him or his family members mentioned in your inquiry. We previously investigated this claim, which again is being made without validation. So people have presented evidence to the contrary, NSO Group. You're saying you're just denying it without presenting any evidence that it's not so. But the worst thing is their justification. NSO Group technologies have helped prevent terror attacks, gun violence, car explosions, and suicide bombings. The technologies are also being used every day to break up pedophilia, sex, and drug trafficking rings, locate missing and kidnapped children, locate survivors trapped under collapsed buildings, and protect airspace against disruptive penetration by dangerous drones.
It's a heck of a sales pitch.
How did that get in there?
I don't know how they do this, but they are wonderful, aren't they? Simply put, NSO Group is on a life-saving mission, and the company will faithfully execute this mission undeterred, despite any and all continued attempts to discredit it on false grounds.
Well, and if you look at, I mean, it's coming from Israel. Israel is constantly under attack.
Yep.
They are constantly dealing with, they're in a part of the world where everybody hates them. So I can see, I'm
A
not
little
saying
paranoia is justified. I understand.
they're from their point of view, this is probably helpful. Their government's probably very excited to be able to keep an eye on other governments.
By the way, that's another thing that Matthew Green says, is we really got to tell governments, just especially freedom-loving governments. He said, in a perfect world, U.S. and European governments would wake up and realize that arming authoritarianism is really bad for democracy, and that whatever trivial benefit they get from NSO, because they use it, is vastly outweighed by the very real damage this technology is doing to journalism and democratic governments worldwide. So that's the argument. The free governments that also use this really got to stop it.
Yep.
We just got to stop it. This is not, he also says, I'm not holding my breath for this to happen.
Nope.
So everybody benefits, including our government, our intelligence agencies. It is a shame, but these exploits. So, when flaws in software are discovered, there are really two routes. There's the white hats. There's people like Google's Zero Day and project and Travis Kalanick, who then will do responsible disclosure. They'll call Apple and say, Apple,
hey, this is
I
what
found
we
this
found.
problem. Here's it. I'm giving you 90 days to fix it. If you don't, I'll reveal it. Apple fixes it. It's then revealed, but it's not a threat anymore to people who are updated. That's the responsible way. And then there's there's companies like Zerodium and others that do this.
Trend Micro, aren't there another one?
Yeah, there are companies actually that pay bug bounties for 0 days. So Zerodium, we've talked about this on Security Now. Zerodium says, we pay big bounties. Zerodium is the world's leading exploit acquisition platform for advanced 0-day research and cybersecurity capabilities. So some of these, like Zerodium, follow this responsible disclosure practice. There are others, like NSO Group, that go, yeah, we'll give you $1 million for that hack. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then they sell it along.
And God knows what's coming out of, I don't mean to demonize, but out of Russia and China, and that isn't being sold in the open market.
Yeah.
No, in fact, it's, that's the problem. There's the responsible disclosure, and then there's your irresponsible keeping it to yourself.
But you don't know.
Yeah, and NSA has plenty of these. They don't want to burn them. We know after the Snowden revelations, NSA collects these as well. So, there's two takeaways. One, don't assume that because you're carrying an iPhone, you're safe.
Right.
In fact, if you're carrying any smart device,
if you're connected to
the internet,
a network of any sort, anywhere, at any time,
bad news.
You should exercise caution.
Yes, extreme caution. And that's why great people like, what's his name? Your friend, Dan Patterson.
He has so many.
Dan Patterson, years past, has trained dissidents on OPSEC.
Yeah.
On how to secure yourself.
Yeah.
On what not to do.
Dan is quite careful, to say the least, with all of his travels, especially like at Davos. I've heard some interesting stories.
So that's one thing is, know the risks, especially if you're a target, and do the right thing. The other thing is we all need to put pressure on companies like Google and Apple and say, you gotta make sure you do everything you can to prevent this. I think they are.
But the thing is, I was going to say, I think Apple is actually taking this seriously, though. They always have, right? It's just they can't necessarily stay ahead of the
so
bad
this is
guys.
Okay. Again, I'm going to quote Matthew Green because he says they chose the easy, inexpensive fix, Blastdoor, which is a firewall, instead of the expensive, complicated, and potentially breaking fix of rewriting iMessage to not be using all these renderers.
So I
there's
didn't
better ways to
play
do it.
Leo.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry. I didn't play your role of devil's advocate last week, but I will this week. Delayed hostitis.
No. You don't get your chance now.
God darn it. Okay.
the number of people, and it's devil's advocating people, so just for the sake of the discussion, the number of people potentially affected by this, though each individual case can be profound, is a small number.
That's right.
And so
50,000 out of 1.5 billion iPhones is nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you look at the economics here of affecting everything you do on every single phone and potentially having an impact on the functionality that people, as Stacey, find convenient.
Right.
There is an equation that occurs there.
It's like, how much does this affect our bottom line?
Yeah, and so
there's
then
also
the
brand.
Yeah. And they
I get all that. I'm devil's advocating.
Okay.
But it actually goes to your point, Stacey, is at some point, I almost think the company should say, okay, here is every person level of security. If you need this level, we're going to provide them, but you have responsibility too. And that includes not, revealing national secrets on a cell phone, no matter what.
It must be doable because they give the president a secure phone.
A BlackBerry.
Secure.
It's a BlackBerry.
Was it a Black? Is it still a BlackBerry?
It was. Oh, yeah.
I know it was for Obama, but I mean, we know that President Trump was using an iPhone. I don't know what Biden uses.
Yeah, I thought it was an iPhone after that.
I don't know what Biden uses. In fact, they don't want us to know, right?
Nope.
But usually the way they secure these phones is by eliminating a lot of capabilities, right?
Yeah.
The third thing, I actually just thought of a third thing. We should put pressure on our own government not to use these tools and to encourage others not to, because ultimately it is bad for freedom.
But government is going to justify
because we're real concerned about democracy.
I know.
Government is going to justify that surveillance as a tool of
safety.
Of protecting us.
Pedophiles. We're getting pedophiles here. What
want back doors to everything.
All right.
We're stopping drone violence.
I remember years ago speaking to this company, Provoro. They make hardware for protecting iPhone privacy, Provoro.com. And I remember in that conversation just sort of being blown away because all I ever heard was, hey, the iPhone is the most secure phone, blah, 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 blah. But yet there's still tools out there trying to protect this hardware. Now, with all of this software exploits, none of this stuff even matters, right?
Oh, but wait a minute. All this is you take your phone and you put it in a Faraday cage.
Yeah, just a Faraday cage.
You put it in a box. And, Okay.
They had a couple other things over the years, so.
Ooh.
And it blocks out the microphones and things like that.
Wow, look at that. Whatever it is, it must be good.
It doesn't fit well in your jeans.
No.
Yeah.
That's one of those compromises, Jeff. You need a body person who carries your phone in their bag.
I think what Dan Patterson used to do and others do now, training people in how to keep secure is good. I mean, that's another good thing to do. Yeah. Let
and we teach it a lot more in journalism school now.
God, you have to.
And it's what Stacey said. It's for the sake of your sources. It's not as much for you at all.
Yeah.
But for your sources.
He has said that as well.
You're a terrible devil's advocate. You just rolled right over.
Because unlike you, I'm a nice guy, and I just can't keep it going. You see,
you got to grow some horns, dude.
Rationality, reality, stability.
No.
These are things I recognize. No. I balance.
I'm a little depressed because I learned yesterday that a podcast called Call Her Daddy. Have you heard of this podcast before?
Do I want to have heard of it?
It was on Barstool. She had the host Alex Cooper had a famous fight with the head of Barstool because he only wanted to pay her $500,000 a year. So she's now sold it to one podcast called Call Her Daddy. Sold it to Spotify exclusive for a 3-year contract, $20 million a year.
Good. Oh, wow.
One podcast.
What's it about?
Wow.
Raunchy talk and something.
And female empowerment.
Wow.
It's, I listen. So after I heard this news, I went, I picked the wrong business. Wait a minute. That is my business.
It's the dog.
I apparently picked the wrong hair color.
We just have a different version of this business.
and gender, and makeup artist, but it's the influencer. She's young. It's this Gen Z kind of. I listened to the most recent one, and it was like just weird. It was like they apparently there was a thunderstorm and the house power went out, and they were all scared. And
We've never done anything about thunderstorms on this show.
That was the whole.
As the Jarvis house shakes.
Yeah.
Here's the Wall Street Journal. Call Her Daddy used to be best known for raunchy sex talk and pioneering concepts like the Gluck Gluck 9000.
Do what?
I don't even want to tell you what that is. Apparently, more recently, I don't know. She calls her fans the Daddy Gang. It's about.
This is basically a woman who talks to other women and has done a good job doing it and is ranking in the dough. And
I'm thrilled for her, but I'm just puzzled. She's getting more money than, Shaq. It's like
yeah. Well, Joe Rogan got a ton of money.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
if you
that
look at
puzzles
her
one
audience,
too.
It does. I'm like, look, I'm getting a whiff of this young lady is doing this, and she has a podcast that we don't know what it's
not
about.
because she's a lady. I feel the same way about Joe Rogan. Trust me, it's not.
I believe
It's just.
I do believe
bizarre.
He's offensive. She's just quizzical.
It's just bizarre. I don't. She claims 1 million downloads a month.
Well, then there's you look at the other side of it. Look at it the TV standpoint. What's that show called? The View. Have you ever watched that show?
Oh yeah.
No.
Wildly
I've seen it,
popular.
But they don't get. I guarantee you, $20 million a year.
I don't. They.
You think they do? I don't know. Maybe I'm out of date. What did in your day when you were a TV guide critic? How much did a network news anchor?
CBS is probably getting a ton of ad money for that show.
Oh, I know they are, but I don't think they get $20 million a year.
No.
For it.
Casey Hunt is getting a report for being stolen by CNN. Is getting a reported $1 million a year.
Okay. Okay.
And I would argue these people have more influence, right? I mean, they're talking to more people than 1 million people a month. But, so I'm sure Spotify also knows what it's doing. They've decided to spend $500 million to own podcasting. I think my biggest complaint isn't that she's getting all this money. I was a little shocked, but is that I think it's bad for podcasting because it's going to be Spotify exclusive. The reason they can give her that kind of money is because they can go to advertisers and say, we know exactly who's listening when and all of that. And we can't do that. We don't want to do that. And it makes it hard for us to sell advertising, frankly. So... yeah. Fortunately, I don't think our listeners are in the same demographic as Alex Cooper.
I would presume not.
That's probably good.
This says because the kicker on the WSJ story is nice. It's saying that basically the guys hate her because she makes women feel confident. And you know what? There's a big market for that.
Well, yeah, good. That's great.
Well, no, I mean, but women are a huge market. We spend a lot.
Oh yeah, you should get a Daddy Gang flag sweatshirt. You should join the club. Listen, I'll tell you what. Listen to a podcast and let me know what you think of it, because the one I listened to was bizarre.
Okay, no, I just want to. So imagine. So I heard about this thing called Twig. So I listened to one.
Yeah, that's true.
And they talk about...
No, but we're going to talk about less because I think my mistake, I'll take full responsibility, was focusing on content, information, trying to give you news, that kind of thing, helpful tips. Mistake. So next week, we're going to lock ourselves in a house without power in a thunderstorm and see what happens.
Hey, you have at it, sir.
It's going to be so exciting.
I'll see you the following week.
I'm all about empowering women, so we can totally do that.
Yes.
And that's why Spotify hired Joe Rogan for $100 million.
Last week, Leo, you missed it, but I empowered women to embrace their inner snoring.
Yes, she does.
You did that the week before as well.
Oh, there you go. It's a theme here.
All right. Let's move. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring up the Call Her Daddy thing. It's just I'm still reeling.
That's topical.
Well,
it's topical.
Your moment of
fair.
therapy.
It's also the business we're in.
Yeah.
We talked to Spotify about acquiring Twit at one point. Would have gone for a little less than $60 million.
Just a little.
Apparently, I'm just not empowering women sufficiently.
It's okay, sir.
Let's move on. The Wall Street Journal. Let's do this one here. I'm sure you put this in, Jeff. I could tell.
How do you know? How can you tell?
I can tell. The Wall Street Journal has figured out how inside TikTok's highly secretive algorithm.
Really? I wonder what it could be.
Investigation.
It's a whole investigation, I hear.
It's an investigation. How TikTok's
it must be
algorithm
an important, profound, and surprising outcome.
Figures out your deepest desires. The Wall Street Journal created dozens of automated accounts that watched hundreds of thousands of videos to reveal how the social network knows you so well. And what did they learn, Jeff?
That they note what you watch and give you more of it. That's it. That's the investigation. So I cautioned everybody. I put a TikTok on Twitter and I said, I'm telling you, beware. You watch this cute puppy, you're going to get more of them.
I knew that.
Shocking.
I knew that. I know that because I get a lot of bikini-clad women.
We've gone over this in the show. Yeah,
women.
We've gone on this. Yeah.
You
admitted things I don't think you should admit.
Actually, if you think about it, really, this is the secret sauce for Google, too. And it goes even back before that. I remember interviewing somebody about gaming addiction. Was talking about World of Warcraft. I mean, going back to early online gaming, they said World of Warcraft is Vegas wishes they had this kind of data.
Yeah.
World of Warcraft. They of course their whole goal is they want to keep you playing. The longer you play, the more money they make.
Yep.
And the game mechanics is basically you go on raids with other people and there's loot drops.
Yep.
So they know exactly which loot drops get you coming back for more, how much time you spent when you left, all of that. And they don't even have to think about it. They just tell the algorithm, optimize.
Yep.
Optimize. That's all YouTube does.
That's complicated compared to TikTok. TikTok is bikinis. Puppies.
No, it's the same.
Puppies.
It's the same because basically you know exactly on TikTok, you know exactly how long they watch before you swipe up, right, to the next video. So that was 0.3 seconds. We know exactly what content was in that 0.3 seconds. Okay, do it again, do it again, do it again. They know what you watched the longest.
Yep. They watched it for 2 seconds, so let's feed this to them.
Increase that, and it's a feedback loop. That's the other beauty of it. So we can tweak this. Oh, that worked. But they don't even. It's so mechanical. It's easy.
I swipe up on bikini pictures as fast as I possibly can.
Yes, same here.
No. I'm not that kind of man. No.
By the way,
and they keep trying.
After you mentioned, they keep trying. I never knew what underboob was until TikTok.
Oh boy!
After, can you edit that out?
Oh God!
Well, I'm learning about
about empowering women.
The youngs. I'm learning about the youngs. Business. I'm learning about the youngs. So I tried your technique. I swipe up very fast now, and you're right. I got rid of that. Now, for some reason, I get a lot of home construction videos.
I get that.
Maybe it's because all they know about you is you're a guy, so they're trying to get you oriented.
Oh, that's it. They know my gender.
I watch
naked women. Nope,
didn't work for naked women. Let's try hard hats.
Home construction.
Yeah,
technology will be somewhere in there. You'll start getting. I get
exactly
server stuff every now and then.
I think it heard my accent, so it started serving up a bunch of people from the South going out catfishing and stuff like that.
Really? You get catfishing videos? I deleted it because I'm just insulted by.
Oh, geez.
I haven't deleted it yet. I've still been experimenting. I put one out the other day.
You're doing it just as an
experiment. I didn't put a hashtag. I put it on line 170 just because I only have like 50 followers or something crazy.
Who are you? I'm going to follow you right now, dude.
It's not worth following. I promise you.
No, it's worth it. It's worth it. I'm doing it right now. I've
talked to a lot of people who don't use TikTok anymore on their phone because it's just too addictive. You wake up at 3 a.m. and you're drooling on your phone because you fell asleep watching TikTok.
See, I don't have that problem. I only put it on there. I
do.
I put it on there to support Queen Pruitt with her Plantastic Potheads, but I still don't quite get it. I have I want to say it's like 50 followers, but the videos that I put up
you have 53.
53.
Well, we can increase that. Let's fix that. What line was it?
170. It's right below my picks.
Oh, that's where it is. Way down there.
Oh, you just passed it.
Way low.
See, I'm watching a delightful dog right now, licking up all the ingredients.
This video.
This is ant_Pruitt, which is your handle everywhere else.
Yep. Now, this video has got like 500 views.
Are you just staring at people?
Anything?
Listen.
TikToker. Ever.
And that's all I did.
You got 500 views?
Yeah.
Kind of creeped me out there, Ant, actually.
And
Okay, I'm going to give you a
the
little
worst TikToker ever.
Like,
is
what
what
did I do wrong?
I'm going to give you a little TikTok hint.
TikToker.
I see this a lot. You put at the very beginning of the text, wait for it.
Oh.
Okay? Nothing ever happens on those, but I waited for it, and they got me to watch the whole thing. Right?
And that's feeding the algorithm.
Yeah. My son knows this because he says, the longer they watch, it's not just whether they like it or follow you, it's the longer they watch, then if at some point
that makes
you get...
perfect sense. Makes perfect sense.
And
but
you need more cute dogs.
I put no effort into that. And the ones that I
no
did...
kidding, I can tell.
And the
You're
ones
staring at the camera, that's all you're doing.
Right, but the ones that I actually put some effort in, they had like no views on them.
I know, it's depressing. You want to see a great video from my son?
Please.
This is good. This is good.
With a McDonald's hash brown.
He's making a homemade McDonald's.
Get 'em.
That's what good potatoes sound like.
Apparently that's a TikTok thing. Oh, look at this hash browns, sausage, egg, McMuffin. Look at that. Sriracha sauce.
Oh, good. Homemade sausage, egg, and cheese muffin.
Now, so I saw my son this morning. We worked out together. He was excited. He said,
He clearly needs to with all of that.
He said 240 likes in the first 30 minutes. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
Because it can go ballistic. But then sometimes you get it, and then it doesn't quite make it. And, you know, because the whole trick is to get on the For You page. FYP.
For You page.
Because mostly if you follow people, but the For You page is all the stuff you don't follow. If you get on there, you can get a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Twitter's making some changes on Tweetdeck. I haven't seen them yet. Have anybody else seen them yet?
Well, I need you to tell me how to do it.
I don't use Tweetdeck anymore.
There's a hint there.
Oh, I've got it. I just got it.
How to get it.
This is new. No, maybe that's not.
No,
new.
that's just dark mode, idiot. Why it doesn't look like TweetDeck?
I think TweetDeck is in dark mode. There's no light mode. Is there a light mode?
My TweetDeck's always in dark mode.
Yeah, my TweetDeck's always. When I used to use
there
it.
is a light mode.
We're going to get to the dark mode story.
Oh, there is a light mode.
I've been waiting for that.
Look at that. Oh, you've changed my life. Look how much better that is.
That's horrible.
It's horrible. It looks washed out.
Horrible.
I don't get
how
it.
should look.
Man,
we're gonna do a very nice
contrast.
There's something
Did
wrong
you
with
kill
him.
that story?
There's something wrong with him. I don't understand.
Did you kill that story?
What is
Where's
wrong?
that story? I put it in there.
No,
There
it's
it is.
24. Line 24. Don't
24,
panic. Don't
okay.
panic.
Francesco Gabaglio.
Calm down.
Francisco Gabaglio. Oh,
I asked him
you're
how to
getting
pronounce his
people
name.
who are tweeting you with suggestions now.
Yes, I got a couple of those.
All right.
So if you go under Twitter, the next
Francesco,
line there.
love dark mode. Here's why you may still want to avoid it.
See?
No.
See, it has a lot of reasons why dark mode is bad for you.
No.
It's not a modern invention? There are actually downsides to switching your apps to dark mode?
See?
What nitwit wrote this?
Hey.
One Jeffrey Jarvis. No.
Basically, the downsides are that it doesn't. It tells you it's saving power, but it doesn't actually save
It doesn't
power
save
on most
power.
monitors.
It does on
generally
AMOLED.
eyes.
Wait a minute. It does on AMOLED displays.
Yeah, but not everything else is, and not your main computers are not AMOLED.
Oh, no, but all your
Oh, it's
phones,
safe.
almost all your phones are AMOLED now. Well, modern ones.
Yes.
Modern ones.
Yes.
But it feels
I
better
don't
on
do it
your
to
eyes,
save
though.
power. Yeah. We're not doing it because we care about the environment.
No.
We're doing it because we just like how it looks.
Who do you think we are? People that don't want to drive big diesel trucks?
But it says here, in fact, it says you could have an astigmatism, which in fact I do have.
I do have
Oh, okay.
astigmatism.
I
Yeah.
do have astigmatism.
We all do because we
Human
read
beings
too
are
much as
naturally
children.
adept at seeing things more clearly in the daytime and not so much at night. See, right? That's just logical.
That's not me,
We've
sir.
evolved to see
But that
dark
just
at
says-
night.
Yeah, but that just says you may not enjoy dark mode if you have an astigmatism. It's not saying that,
So
you're going to.
I do confess, I know the reasons why you shouldn't use dark mode. I've known them for years. And it's why books are black text on white paper. That's because
goddamn Gutenberg has told us for 600 years.
Invent black paper and white ink.
Don't mess with Gutenberg.
Because your ambient lighting in the old days, you were in a room, it was lit. You don't want to be looking at something darker with the light behind you. Yeah. But nowadays, we all sit in darkened chambers, right?
That's right.
And the real problem is our computer monitors' brightness are turned way too high. And I've known this for years.
No comment.
Used to say this to people all the time. Turn down your brightness. It's way too high.
Yeah.
It's blinding. But because it is, we don't want it. Yeah. We want dark mode.
Yeah. So no comment on that.
Down, maybe light mode wouldn't be so bad.
So it says that our eyes have to strain more. It causes eye strain.
That's right.
When you're in dark mode.
Your mother was right. So when you're watching TV, turn on a light, right?
But see, I'm the person that I see better at night than I do during the daytime. That's real talk.
Well, that's because you're a werewolf, but that's another story.
I was going to say that's because he's a ninja.
Maybe.
Wait a minute. You're saying when it sun's out, you don't see things as like raid text or anything?
It hurts.
It's too bright.
I really have to have my sunglasses
because you live in a...
You could move to Seattle, Ant.
because he looks good in them.
Yeah.
Well, that too. Yeah. But but I do see a lot better at night. It just blows my mind.
Okay. So meanwhile, Twitter...
Oh, yeah, go back to because
Twitter in dark mode is awesome.
I didn't know how to do it.
That's the story.
I didn't understand. Thank you, Francesca.
So the Tweetdeck revamp, which I thought I had, but I didn't. But eventually
you can turn it on if you go to line 93, and I didn't understand.
Oh, there's a way to turn it on. Oh, let's go look here. How to
You'll
turn
understand
it on.
this because you're a geek.
From Wong M. Jane. Oh, Jane Wong, I know her. Oh, you do document.
Oh, I can't read it. It's dark mode.
Equals Tweetdeck version beta.
Where do you do that?
Well, let's go into the CSS.
Oh my gosh.
Let's see. You go into developer mode. You browse your console probably on this one.
The thing is,
nope, not that. Nope,
this won't tear up the show like the terminal will. So
I think he's gonna
give me a chance. Give me.
I was like, we are hitting. We're going almost full terminal here.
Okay.
Stacey's hiding.
Stacey,
wait, where did I go?
She just ran. She's like, I don't want to see this. How
come Jane didn't say where to put it?
That's what I'm wondering.
Document cookie.
Maybe somebody put it in the comment.
I wonder what all of the replies are saying. Yep. Let's see. What are the replies?
Maybe it's in the cookies. Oh, sorry, I just launched TikTok. Maybe it's not in the CSS. Maybe that looks like a cookie. So let's go to our preferences, kids. Everybody join me now. We go into settings, and we go into cookies, which I don't know where the hell they started.
Hey, line 93 was really helpful, Mr. Jarvis.
There we go. Let's go into cookies. Let's see here. Manage data. Here's some cookies. No. Now, I don't know how to put a new one in, though. No. But that looked like a cookie, right?
You're so disappointing me. I thought you
said,
said,
no. I think I can do this. I just create a cookie. What did she say? Twitter?
This is totally not worth it, though.
Document.cookie. I don't know.
Where am I? Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Your camera.
And your name is apparently Stacey Higginbot.
Yeah, but my camera's on.
She's a bot. We thought it was a real person.
Stacey on IoT is a bot.
All this time.
Makes perfect sense now.
Very impressive.
Oh, my camera?
Click on the console tab if it's not in the default view.
Maybe
copy and paste the following into the bottom. Document cookie. Okay, good. All right. Scooter X. I'm going to call it Tweeter X. is showing us how we're in the console. We're going to down at the bottom there. Okay. Yeah. And he says just paste that in before the slash body, before the end of the body. Okay.
So into the HTML.
The text entry box. So I have to go into the console.
Yeah.
And then there.
And this is great.
Scam warning. Take care when pasting things you don't understand. Screw you. I understand.
Right. You trust that code that she put in
this
there.
This random person on Twitter. It's not letting me put this in.
Hold on. Let me slide away from you for a second.
Please type allow pasting below. ALLOW pasting to allow pasting. Okay. Now I'm going to paste that in.
Now we see you, Miss Stacy.
Good. TweetDeck
Yay.
version beta. All right. Now let's go back to the tape.
But you got to refresh.
Refresh. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I give you wider columns.
Exactly the same.
No, I guess.
No, that's bigger.
Got wider columns.
No, people were complaining there were no columns. There's a picture of what it's supposed to look like. This looks nothing like.
His looks
Maybe
Go back to the story.
do a hard refresh. I thought I did, but no. Well, I don't know. Maybe I didn't do it in the right place. Let me do it again.
Dark mode.
I don't know. I just don't know.
dark mode has to be disabled.
Dark mode has to be disabled.
That'd be funny.
Then what do I do? All right. I'm on the TweetDeck tab. Now, do I refresh now?
I haven't used TweetDeck in so
Oh, I
There it
do
is.
have the new version.
There it
Yes,
is.
here you go. Here you
First,
go.
want to import your existing columns? Yes. Whatever that means.
Survey says.
Now take the TweetDeck tour.
Tour.
You made a great choice on switching to TweetDeck
Get
Pro.
on the bus, everybody. We're going on the
Now let's
TweetDeck
take a
tour.
quick tour to show you around. Make a column.
Okay.
Well, that's
we
not
did that
different.
before.
Look at the columns; are all different looking, though.
Yeah, that's what's
Yeah.
interesting.
Stay organized with decks for a cleaner, more focused experience. Organize your workspace.
Oh boy.
Multiple decks.
This is like tabs for
Oh
TweetDeck.
boy.
It is like tabs for tweet. Move a column. Use these dots. All right.
We already knew
Customize, delete, order tweets, change. I bet they took out.
You can reorder tweets. That's interesting.
So let's. So I can move this, right? Yeah.
But you could do that
I can,
before.
Yeah, but now look how the different sizes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's look here. We can top tweets first or latest tweets first. We want latest tweets. And I bet that's sticky. Auto refresh, you bet. Column width, it's really wide right now. I can make it a little less wide, right? Rename column. You know what they took out? The one feature of TweetDeck I used it for?
Mute.
Scheduling?
No, and maybe it's somewhere else. But I turned off retweets because I found that was often
I bet that's somewhere.
a problem. Yeah, maybe it's somewhere else. I do like it that I could do chronological. So
You can do chronological on normal Twitter. but-
yeah, they may not have
Each
liked
Maybe it's
it.
under
Can you do it
settings.
by column, Stacy, or not?
I'm sorry.
Can you
What
turn
can I
off
do by
chronological by column?
That's Twitter settings.
Oh,
Only in your home feed.
well, not in normal. In normal Twitter, you only get your column, like your traditional column.
This is also new. There's an Explore tab.
Not in. There are no columns in Twitter. Are there?
You know, no.
Oh, it's
you know,
a
I'm really
tab now.
actually glad at least that we're getting some attention for TweetDeck because they hadn't changed anything in years.
Which they
But
did.
I used to love it.
yeah, that's all I use for Twitter.
Yeah.
I just
Back
use
when you
lists.
used it.
It's pretty much the same thing for me, except it's not all on the same screen.
Yeah, I have your COVID list, for instance, Jeff, and yeah, here's another list. So I obviously have to do a deck because I've got too many columns here.
What's a deck mean? What's that mean?
That's workspaces. So I can have a new workspace. I'm going to say this is for tech journalists or tech news, let's say, and the emoji should be a geek. How about there you go? I got it. Okay.
Panic could be an angry person.
Yeah. And now I could add the various lists that I follow of tech journalists. So that's nice. There's also a button if you don't want to keep doing this. It's under the bug. John, can you remove the bug? There you go. Leave TweetDeck preview. So once you do that. So once again, go into the console of the developer tools, paste in document.cookie equals, quote, TweetDeck _ version equals beta, end quote. And that will enable it. You'll then have to refresh the page and you'll get the new version. That was fun.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you, Jane Mansion Wong.
Sure.
I really appreciate that.
Fascinating.
That
Yeah.
was fun. We took a tour. Okay, everybody, we ought to get back on the ship now.
All right. So long, tweet.
Hey, speaking of ships, I got some bad news for you, Jeff.
Oh no, you're not going to go on the ship?
No, we are.
tour?
But you're not invited.
So we have a Twit cruise coming up in Alaska in July of
July.
next year. It's a year from now. And it's going to be great
My
fun.
birthday. Go ahead.
And you should go. I understand. Lisa and I are going, and we were told by the organizers that if we get 60 people to sign up, we can get a second cabin. And I thought, well, how to do this equitably? How can I keep Jeff Jarvis out? Is actually
I was close.
No. How can I do this equitably? And I thought, well, I'll go by seniority. So I asked Steve Gibson, who's the second person to join the network. There's some people before him, but they're gone, and so
we don't talk about them.
We don't talk about them anymore. So Steve Gibson. No, I think I think the second show I did was with Amber.
Buried behind the bricks.
But she doesn't work for Twitter anymore. She's a Canadian, so I don't. And then so Steve asked his wife Lori. She said, under no circumstances am I getting on a COVID boat. And so
I think Lori's right.
I think she misspelled cruise.
Yeah, she misspelled cruise. So the next one I think is Paul Thurrott. And I asked Paul Thurrott, and he said, well, the only cruise I ever wanted to go on was an Alaska cruise. I'm in. So Paul and his wife Stephanie are going to go.
Great. Sweet.
You would have probably been next, I think, Jeff. I'm trying to think of seniority. But
Have I been hanging around that long? You've been trying to go all these years?
Yeah,
You failed.
you've been around more than 10 years, right?
So you could call it the Geezer Cruise. The Geeks and Geezers. I'm so sorry. You don't have.
I love how you empower old men. It's great. It's really good.
Y'all don't need any more empowerment. I promise.
It's not a zero-sum game. Oh, see?
Wow.
There we go.
Nice. I'm gonna wave y'all goodbye at the docks. That's my job.
We are going to Seattle.
He's from Seattle.
I'll pop in.
Stacy has to come.
Stacy has to come to the goodbye ceremony.
And if you do something the night before or something like that, I'll
we'll do that.
Show up.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. And then
unless you don't want me there.
Paul, no, we do. And then I think there's some cocktail party and a lecture or something like that. But Paul's wife Stephanie, who is a mixologist extraordinaire, has announced that she will be doing a cocktail hour where she'll introduce some of her specialties.
Well, now I might go.
Yeah, I know. Doesn't that sound good? She's really good.
Like, there's a mixologist involved?
Yes. So it's going to be a lot of fun. There's no polar bears, but I understand there'll be salmon, grizzly bears, and bald eagles. So it's going to be, and glaciers, let's not forget.
Everything Alaska's made of.
If you want to know more, cruise.twit.tv. There are cabins left, but I think you should hurry. I know it's a year off, and most people aren't thinking about what they're going to do next July, but I think you shouldn't delay because they told us if demand suddenly increases for this cruise, we could take some cabins back. So once you book, you're good. But you got to book if you want to guarantee.
Well, they can take back cabins back.
Yeah,
the cruise line.
The cruise line, and I think that they're just, as most cruise lines are at this point, uncertain about what it's going to look like in July.
So true. Yeah.
So they reserve the right to say, hey, we're getting a huge demand for this trip. So we're not going to promise. We're not going to give you all the cabins we promised you. Only people who've already reserved by then will be able to go.
Good stuff.
So reserve cruise.twit.tv. It's going to be a lot of fun. Paul Thurrott and I will get drunk on peanut butter whiskey while our wives will dance.
With bald eagles.
What if they just shake their heads in shame? Because that seems more like something Lisa would do.
Guaranteed they will be doing that.
Also known as a Tuesday.
I feel very like I can see Lisa just like
also known as a
constantly.
Wednesday.
She loves me, but you know.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
You can
know how
love
it
people
is.
and still be like, why are they doing that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically what she says all the time. Why did you do that?
Yeah. My husband does the same thing to me. He's
Why
like,
did you do that?
What were you thinking?
What were you thinking? Why did you make the blinds only open by a voice command?
Oh, boy.
Retail stores packed with unchecked facial recognition. Our next story in just a moment. I just want to reintroduce our fabulous crew. Stacey Higginbot is here. She's the replacement for Stacey Higginbotham, who has the day off.
Like, I could try to do...
You're very realistic, I must say.
Oh, yes. We've already had that GIF. Don't do
Stacey
that
on IoT.com. Aunt Pruitt from Hands-On Photography. And, of course, the one, the only, the inimitable Jeff Jarvis of BuzzMachine.com. Moving along, retail stores packed with unchecked face recognition, according to civil rights organizations. More than 35 organizations demanding top U.S. retailers cease facial recognition. Walmart, Home Depot, Target, and even though Apple says it does not, apparently, I saw a story that said Apple used to. So it's used.
Yeah,
it's used for deterring shoplifting, I think. Identifying known shoplifters.
There's a couple. There's identifying new shoplifters, but there's also identifying people that you don't want in the store.
People you've banned in the past.
Blackballed people, yeah. And those people could be banned for shoplifting, for weird returns. They could be banned for all kinds of things. So yes.
And I did see a story about a young black man who was kicked out of somewhere because facial recognition misidentified him.
Yeah. It's just another day in Face ID.
Yeah. Because it's particularly inaccurate with people of color because they don't use black people in training.
That's right.
It's all a bunch of white folk.
At least not yet, anyway.
Yeah. On the other hand, devil's advocate, but I kind of believe this. Taylor Swift, for instance, who's had problems with fans stalking her and things, has used face recognition at her concert entrances to identify potential problem people and, pull them aside. If facial recognition were perfect, we wouldn't have a problem with that, right?
Oh, no we would. Yeah, we would.
Why?
Well, okay,
Privacy?
Let's talk about having widespread facial recognition and what that means.
Well, no, I'm just talking about Taylor Swift. Let's start with a single example.
Just that
Forget the computer. Somebody sits there with a list of with a page of photos.
A cop could do it. A security guard.
A cop sits there and says, "I see your photo on this list."
Yeah,
that's where you're starting.
And
right?
probably is not very accurate, and has to have a long list apparently for Taylor Swift. So, if you could have face recognition and it could be accurate, wouldn't that be a good and benign use of it, or you disagree, Stacey?
No. Okay, if you use it for those kind of things, but they're also using it for like security in schools, theoretically, security in schools, where they're banning people, but there's no due process around this. So what we're doing is we're introducing a tool without any regulatory thing. So we had actually talked about this a couple weeks ago. It's a company that provides facial recognition software to schools, and the schools that are using it are tracking students up to like 5,000 times a day. So they're seeing everywhere the students go in the school. They're also using it to keep people they've banned from campus, off campus, including former students and parents who have argued with security guards. So you look at this and you're like, it's a very useful tool, but it's a tool that we really need to start putting guidelines around.
I would agree 100%.
Yes.
So the problem I have with these stores.
Yeah, the problem is accuracy and lack of due process, right?
And lack of transparency about using it. You go into most places, they say we're using video cameras. They should also say we're using facial recognition.
Right.
And
so this site, banfacialrecognition.com, is putting social pressure on stores not to do it. They've actually asked the top retailers in the country if they use it, and ask them to commit, and there's a big tweet them button or an email button next to many of these. Ask them to commit not to use it. Walmart has agreed they will not use. Kroger will not use in the future. Walgreens has not responded, so they might use. Home Depot won't use. Target. So this seems like it's working. Lowe's won't. Albertsons does use it.
Yeah,
McDonald's
but at the same
hasn't
time,
responded. HEB does use it. Macy's does use it.
But at the same time, a Walmart could come back and just say, you know what, it's actually working better for us to do this. So them just doing that on the surface.
But there's no, they just say it. There's no contract.
And then you have to think about whatever it is here in California with the whole $950 being a misdemeanor versus a felony, and people are just shoplifting like crazy. You think they care about facial recognition?
Well, there's a problem in San Francisco. Yeah, people just coming and taking stuff, and they're on camera, and they don't care.
Hey, I'm good. I'm only getting $200 worth of stuff, and I can deal with a misdemeanor.
This story from a couple of months ago, Apple and its security contractor, Security Industry Specialist, sued in Massachusetts, part of a multi-jurisdictional defamation and malicious prosecution complaint brought on behalf of a New York resident misidentified multiple times.
Yikes.
As a shoplifter. So there is a good example of A, lack of due process, and B, inaccuracy.
Right.
So, and I have the same feelings about the police department using it. It used it, I guess, appropriately and with constraints if it were accurate.
Mm-hmm.
it would be useful in solving crimes.
Well, nothing is guaranteed accurate, so you have to have a process of check.
Due process helps, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a guy at the Taylor Swift concert with an actual list of pictures of people, and somebody gets pulled out, they don't say anything. They say, "Excuse me, sir, I want to ask you a question," and then identify. Do you have an ID?
Right.
That's due process.
Can I cross-check?
Yeah, I just want to cross-check.
This alarm with this
Could be a
image
problem.
with your ID.
Could be a mistake.
Yeah,
like do not
but
fly
and then there's also how do they communicate and share that facial recognition data and data about people they catch in those systems? Even if I'm just shopping at Macy's, if the police come and they're like, "Hey, there was a crime over here. We're looking at Stacy as a probable person. Was she in your store?" This is a very stupid example. I'm trying.
No, but I guess that's still going back to the due process side of things. They can't just come in there without a warrant, right? Is that what you're saying?
Well, we don't know if they can or not, right? So they could access, my entire history if they wanted to, based on private surveillance cameras. If they do they need a warrant? I don't know.
Here's the nightmare scenario for this poor kid in New York. He's an honors student at Bronx Latin at New York City High School. He's black. He got a temporary learner's permit for driving a couple of years ago when he was 17. It had his height, weight, date of birth, and eye color. It didn't have a photograph, as learner's permits don't usually.
Right.
He lost it, then got a permanent laminated copy that included his picture. He was detained. Actually, no. Later that year, somebody was detained for stealing store merchandise at an Apple store. Handed over the temporary learner's permit, the one he'd found, even though the ID says it's temporary, not to be used for identification purposes. Apple then said, "You're this guy," even though the guy they arrested was 6'1" and the student's only 5'7".
So the AI doesn't even matter if there's still people involved. Is what you're saying.
That's right. In fact, the so-called due process was worse. But then his name is put into this system.
Yep. He's flagged.
And he got arrested again.
Wow.
Anyway.
Yeah, we have to have ways of rectifying errors in these computerized databases.
Clearly, it's a problem
for sure.
Yeah.
The GDPR actually gives people that right. The current California Privacy Act does not. So if we were going to look at a federal law, that's one of the things we'd want to see.
Interesting. Good to know. Good to know.
I heard that this was there was some type of surveillance in the UK. I don't know much about it. Is that still going on, where it's like a regular, everybody sort of expects to be watched and wherever they are out?
They have they have a lot of CCTV around there everywhere.
Okay.
So in public places and on their roads.
What about Amazon's ghost stores? I mean, not only are you being photographed, but every action you take in the grocery is being photographed.
But you know it. You
I guess you know when you go in.
You know it. You know how it works.
And if you didn't like it, you could stay out of it.
You know what's happening. You're getting a receipt of what happened.
That is one of the things that this site claims stores are doing, is if you go in a store and don't buy anything, you walk out without buying anything, they send you a coupon. Say, "Come on back, we got a deal for you."
Well, so you get a good deal.
Yeah, but that may be a little creepy.
I was going to say, that's still creepy, ain't it?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you're like, I mean, people don't want to think about, you don't want every single interaction you have with any part of society to be relegated to a transaction, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's say you're just walking into a store just to look at stuff,
So here's a question for you, Jeff Jarvis. Is Facebook killing people?
Well, let's ask the president of the United States.
I was going to say, don't ask him, ask the other guy.
He said they were, but then he said, well, no, I don't mean Facebook's doing it. They're talking about vaccines. And there is some evidence that Facebook has not done a great job of blocking or taking down
I'd put it differently.
Misinformation.
Facebook can certainly do better.
They could do better.
They all could.
Biden said he meant to accuse a dozen social media platform users.
Which I think actually, it was a classic Biden gaffey thing.
Yeah.
Because I listened to it again, and I actually don't think he was trying to say Facebook was. I think he was trying, like these people who are using it, those dastardly souls, and it came off wrong, and Facebook reacted. But the problem here is, as various of the things I put in the rundown said, this kerfuffle is missing the point on both sides, right? Facebook needs to do a better job. Government needs to recognize what's going on. It doesn't include Fox, look at Hannity's about face in the discussion. We need a smarter discussion than ensued in 24 hours after this moment.
And I'm sympathetic because while it's not Facebook killing people, there's a lot of virus misinformation being spread. And as I was talking about, I think it was before the show, I was sitting beside somebody on the airplane on the way home who said, I'm not going to put anything unknown in my body, who's clearly getting misinformation about at this point. I know it's not officially approved yet. It's an experimental approval, but hundreds of millions of people have received these vaccines.
Yeah,
a lot more people in that time have died of COVID and have even been sickened by the vaccine. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I can understand the sentiment, which is we got to do something about this. People are dying.
Well, I think that the study, and this is part of what the Fox went after. His press office, the study that says that 12 people are promoting most of the
misinformation comes from these 12 accounts. Is critical because
it is, you can find loci of networks and attack them.
Right.
So this idea you've got to try to get everything possible.
Yeah.
Be smart about it. Go after those.
Don't attack Facebook.
Facebook should be doing something about those, we'll accept the research, 12 people, and they could get a lot done that way.
Yeah. And Farhad Manjoo wrote in the New York Times, it's the anti-vaxx movement is much bigger than just Facebook, and we'd agree on that.
Right.
Yeah. Marjorie Taylor Greene got banned by Twitter for 12 hours. Seems like a weird ban, but for 12 hours for saying that vaccines don't work. So
our friend Nirit Weiss-Blatt had, I think, a very good piece.
Dr.
Nirit Weiss-Blatt, yes. The Dichotomous debate sucks was her subhead. This is line 70. And saying what I think is very true is the it saves people, it kills people. Those extremes are getting us nowhere. Mm-hmm. The discussion is dumb that way. It's not as bad as it's presented by the dystopians. It's not as good as the companies would present. And we can always do better. And so let's figure out how to do better together. God damn it.
Yeah.
Wait, Jeff, are you telling us to be best?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I mean, we've said that on the show. Both sides are true. The internet has been amazing. And technology has been amazing, but there's also, and I wouldn't be covering technology as my life vocation if it weren't for the amazing benefits of it.
Yeah.
But the other
I was
reason
going to say, if you had known you could get 20 million.
If I had known I could be empowering women and make 20 million a year, I would have done that.
Different route.
No, part of what I wanted to do was talk about not just the benefit, because there's, when I started, there was a lot of cheerleading for technology.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to do, I love technology. In fact, it was kind of the tagline at the end of the screensavers, because we worked for Ziff Davis, which its motto at the time was love technology. Mm-hmm. And I would always say, love technology, but back up your hard drive, or love technology, but make sure you get vaccinated. So it's both. It isn't one or the other. I've always said that. And one of the reasons I do what I do is because I want to help people understand it so that they know how to make the most out of it and avoid the bad stuff. It's not perfect. There's a lot of, scams and imperfections and a lot of places you can waste your money. And, we got to get phone companies to make these things more recyclable and repairable. We got to get them to be more secure. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff.
Life. It's a process, folks. We've always got to improve. We've always got to do better. Yeah. We learn how things operate. We learn how to do them. It took us a long time and a 30 years war to get over the beginnings of print.
But as I've said before, those big, wide platitudes of saving lives and killing people, as the doctor said there, those things still sell clicks.
They sell clicks. I do have to say, I don't know, Jeff, if I agree with you that this is just another example of, Gutenberg moment. I do think it's somewhat different, and maybe it isn't, but I do think that the reach of social networks, especially, but technology and the internet, is so vast. Its speed is so incredible that it is an order of magnitude more risky than the printing press.
We were burning people at the stake because of the printing press.
Right.
We were starting peasants' wars. We were burning down towns because of what was said on the printing press. No, I think it was worse back then. I think I'd go with a Pinker moment here and say that actually society is improving and we refuse to recognize it. Okay. But again,
fair enough.
More work to do.
Higginbot had something. Was that? Do you need some an oil? Do you have some?
No, I'm like I appreciate Pinker. He's somewhere behind me on my bookshelf.
Yeah, I'm not
for the
normally
fattest
quoting Pinker, but
the fattest book there is. But I think what we see with social media is a lot more individual harms, and it's much easier. It's kind of like email making spam possible,
it's
right?
death by 1,000 cuts. Instead of getting burned at the stake, you're getting whittled down.
But it's also enabling people, again, who've never been heard to be heard. You've got to balance.
Of course. No one denies that, and Jeff.
No one's trying to shut down these platforms as platforms. We're just saying, here are some of the harms. Let's think about how to mitigate those harms. That's all. I mean,
without having an impact on some of the potential.
Okay, I don't think you cannot have an impact. I think that's kind of a silly thing. You're going to have an impact, but understanding and looking at, hey, when that impact happens, how far does it go? Can people still come out from it okay, right? Like, you can't make legislation without affecting some people
negatively. But killing Section 230, which some would say is what we should do, would have a huge impact on the speech of.
Right. I'm not a fan of killing Section 230.
So that's what I'm saying. So we've got to have that discussion.
Yeah, TechDirt had a good article on net neutrality. It was Carl Bodie, I think. Let me see if I can.
Carl.
You know him?
You should have him on the show.
Really? Yeah. Let's get him on. He's great.
Carl, he's inflammatory. No, he never worked at GigaOM, but he lives up here in Seattle now. But he's my buddy, man. He's so smart.
Well, you'll like his link baity headline. Axios parrots a lot of dumb debunked nonsense about net neutrality.
How did I miss that headline?
Isn't that a great one?
Great. Nice.
This was today, actually. I think it came out. Maybe that's why I may have missed it, because it just came out. He is pointing out this both sidism that you see a lot, and I know, Jeff, I'm sure you talk about it. I know Jay Rosen does all the time. This idea that news is fair and balanced when you quote both sides equally, as if they have equal merit. So he has the Axios article he's referring to has a lot of quotes from,
Who is the reporter on that article? Was it Kim Hart? Because if it was, she used to work and do PR for the FCC.
Oh, interesting.
Ooh.
Let me see if he doesn't actually mention. It was Margaret McGill.
Let me see. Which article is he talking about? Let's see.
It's net neutrality battle looms from last week.
Oh, Margaret Harding McGill. Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't Kim.
No. But apparently, in order to write this article, and I think I would do this too. You get quotes from both sides, right? And you're not trying to inject an opinion in there. You're trying to get the story.
Well, yes and no. I think there's a job to be, and this is like at GigaOM when we sat there, like objective journalism isn't really possible. So you're going to come out one side or the other. Right. We always came out pro-consumer. That doesn't mean I didn't listen to all the sides. But at the end of the day, Wall Street, the telecom companies, they have millions of lobbyists. That's literally their job they're paying for. So all the consumer has is us.
But I thought the job of the reporter was to report the facts.
How you report the facts and whose facts you report. Yeah, I can tell you, like, municipal broadband is unprofitable for municipalities on a cost basis in a lot of cases. So the cable companies will say, it costs taxpayers dollars. It's an unprofitable business. They should keep it in our court. Right. Whereas the municipalities will say it's actually an economic development effort, and we should be doing as much as we can to build up our broadband because it'll entice people to come to our area. It also makes our current citizens' lives better. So it may not be entirely profitable, but it is a service that we think is valuable. And those kind of nuances are really hard to convey in an objective way, right? And readers don't even want that. They want you to say exactly what I said and then say,
I like
Kevin
this.
Toffel, which machine should I buy?
Right.
Oh my God.
Don't be objective. Tell me which one to buy, Kevin.
Here's what Carl wrote. If you're a reporter and you feel the need to give an industry lobbyist ample room to make various claims, you should at least point out where that lobbyist might not be telling the truth, so your readers might have some vague idea where the truth actually is. That's kind of what you're saying.
And that's true.
Right?
That's fair.
And that's, I mean, when I would report from, I'd be like, hey, AT&T says this. Here's why they're saying this, and here's their agenda in this. Here's their dog in this hunt.
Or here's what they could get out of it, or here's where they could benefit.
Well, to support your argument that the telcos spend a lot of money to get heard and consumers don't, telecom giants, this is
this was stunning.
This is stunning. It's a joint study from Common Cause and the Communication Workers of America Union. Telecommunications lobbyists spent $234 million on lobbying during the 116th Congress, the current Congress.
It's hard to spend it.
$320,000 a day. Comcast the biggest, $43 million. AT&T, $36 million. And so when you wonder why we have monopolies in broadband, why our broadband is worse than many other developed nations, more expensive, slower, it's because Congress is bought and paid for by these people.
All of these people we voted for.
The study said the largest ISPs have used their outsized influence in Congress to block any legislation that would undermine their stranglehold over the broadband marketplace. Net neutrality is just part of it. In fact, when you bring up municipal
broadband
Wi-Fi,
mapping, municipal broadband.
That's a really good example because, Philadelphia started a municipal Wi-Fi service that was really quite good, and it pissed off the Telecom so much they went to the Pennsylvania state legislature and said, hey, mostly the Republicans.
You don't really want this. And lives in Philly?
You don't want government competing with private industry.
Do you?
That's not a free market. And they've actually got that law passed not only in Pennsylvania now, but in almost all, I think 28 states.
Wow.
Municipal Wi-Fi is dead because
they would have
they
a
don't want the
point
competition.
if there were no monopoly. But when there's a monopoly, that's the issue. That's the whole thing.
They argue that there isn't a monopoly because it's facilities based. So you've got cable versus DSL. Believe me, we could talk about this all day long.
I know.
And by the way, Comcast, headquartered, Philadelphia.
Yep.
AT&T,
Yep.
Texas.
Yep.
Texas has had, Texas utilities couldn't put up smart metering systems for the longest time because it was a municipally owned Wi-Fi system.
Right.
Or, sorry, a municipally owned wireless system.
Wireless system, yeah.
Yeah, it's...
This is from the Vice article quoting the Common Cause study. The groups found that one of the industry's top targets during the last Congress was the Save the Internet Act, which would have restored net neutrality, and the FCC Consumer Protection Authority stripped away during the Trump administration amidst a flood of empty promises. That's what Carl Bodie's talking about. The Telecom said, "Oh no, if you don't do this net neutrality thing, we'll do all this investment." Jobs will be saved. They fired people. They reduced the investment as soon as they didn't have to.
You're right.
Telecom lobbyists also fought against the Accessible Affordable Internet for All Act, which included money to help fund local community broadband. They successfully derailed the Resilient Networks Act, an attempt to shore up the Puerto Rican network resiliency after prolonged outages after the hurricanes Irma and Maria. 83 million Americans live under a broadband monopoly, usually a regional cable giant like Comcast or Charter. Millions more, including us, live under a duopoly consisting of either, I love Vice, an apathetic phone company or their local cable provider. The end result is obvious: spotty access, slow speeds, high prices, and generally terrible customer service. One of the things I've been hearing about a lot from our listeners is that these companies have variable pricing from block to block, depending on how much the market will bear.
Wow.
This is why Google was so effective. Google actually, one of the most effective things it did was just by launching broadband service, announcing pricing.
Yeah.
Whenever it said it was going to go into an area, you would see the prices both lower and
because of the competition.
Normalize across the spread.
Yeah. Little
And
competition
yes, that's
goes
why-
a long way. And by the way, that's the free market.
Yeah. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
That's called the free market. A little competition spurs innovation, price improvements. All right.
Yeah, if you want me to have a show, Stacey complains about broadband and rails against the utility or rails against the ISPs.
How's your fiber going? Your fiber's good, yeah?
It's lovely. I'm not on it right now, but it's great.
Why
Why aren't you on it right now?
you on it?
Because my Wi-Fi is okay.
It's so good that you're not using it right now, huh?
Well, you're on your fiber to the house.
Well,
No,
yes,
she's
I'm on
on
my fiber to the
Wi-Fi.
house. I'm just not wired, but I'm wired.
Don't tell me that. I'll get very upset.
I'm just trolling.
No, I'm on my Eero Pro 6s. It's Wi-Fi 6.
Okay. You know, I have to say,
Very
it's been
fast.
very good. It hasn't been problematic, so maybe they fixed that collision problem that we always had in the past. How about Jeff
Well, I
Bezos?
got actual fiber.
I was about to ask you about that.
How about Mr.
We led the show last week talking about that.
How about Mr. Clean in Space yesterday? They acted as if it was somehow historic. Notice the big first human flight under a tiny little Blue Origin. First human flight. Because, of course, it ain't the first human flight. It's only 50 years after more than that, almost 60 after the first human flight. The other thing, though, and I hope you don't think I'm crude for saying this, but isn't it a little weird that this billionaire's rocket is so phallic?
Okay.
Is it just me?
Best story. No. Here comes the best story. Go to Slate.
It makes sense.
Why
from an
does Jeff
engineering
Bezos'
standpoint.
rocket... Oh. It's an article that's called, Why Does Jeff Bezos' Rocket Look So Much Like a Penis? We asked an actual rocket scientist. So they talked to a NASA scientist.
So Lisa and
about-
I said, Lisa,
engineering-wise.
Jeff's going to go up into, space-ish, and let's watch it. And the first thing she said is, what? What are they writing in?
But it worked.
Okay, so
Beautifully.
let's see what the rocket scientist said. We spoke to Daniel Ramspacker, a propulsion engineer at NASA's Goddard Space Center, who requested we clearly state up front he is not speaking on behalf of his employer. Okay, let's get right to it. Asks Slate. Why is Jeff Bezos' rocket shaped so much like a male member? Daniel says, well, for lots of reasons, honestly. I mean, obviously, most rockets are quite phallic. This one specifically, they took the approach of pretty much all the commercial space programs where they go suborbital, so they don't go fully into orbit, similar to what we at NASA did back in the 60s. I'm talking about the 1960s. So the rocket's relatively small. Everything in our industry is more or less based on heritage. It's like, well, what have we used in the past? What can we leverage? How can we reduce risk or reduce costs? So the rocket is, would you say, the reporter interrupts, because apparently Matthew was getting a little nervous at this point. Would you say there's a heritage of shapes in rocketry leading toward Bezos' rocket? It seems to me this one's kind of a leap forward. No, well, specifically for this unusual rocket was the New Shepard. The New Glenn is their next launch vehicle, which is much larger and designed specifically for the capsule that sits on top of the New Shepard. Oh!
So yes, the capsule sitting on top of it is designed for a different
larger
rocket, but it gets better.
Shaft for the head so that it won't. So the reason why it's a little bit larger is because the launch vehicle, the rocket, the next version is wider. What you're looking at in the rocket is basically a bunch of tanks literally stacked upon one another. That's all it basically is.
Yeah.
That is some computers and the rocket engines at the base. They knew they weren't going in orbit, so they sized the tanks appropriately. It's a relatively small diameter.
It had a circumcision. Yeah.
They designed the capsule for the next series of rockets. See, they didn't want to make the tanks too large. So
All right.
they reduced the girth of the shaft, but kept the capsule at the top the same size, which gave it that distinctive shape. Yeah, unfortunately. What advice would you give Bezos if he wanted to make the next stage of this project, the New Glenn or whatever, even more phallic? Oh, I would not do that. I think it's going to end up making it worse for him. What's next for the future of rocketry, the reporter asks. Are there any new developments that are going to make rockets look more like penises? No. I would say they're going to be more and more like just long, slender tubes. This is probably the most phallic-looking spacecraft you're going to see, if I had to guess. Can I go now? Do you think...
I just thought this was the most hilarious because everyone was wondering it.
Yes. Do you think that will be Bezos' lasting legacy in space, that he built the rocket that looked the most like a dick? I don't think so. Hopefully you'll make it a little bit easier and cheaper to get into space. Well, competing visions, I guess, for the future there. Yeah. Just want to mention, I am not representing my employer in this interview. Okay. Yeah.
So
right.
I just
so it wasn't just me.
All
right.
He made it back to work. I hope.
Yeah, I hope
There
so.
was a 1974 very softcore porn movie called Flesh Gordon.
Oh, yeah.
And if you go to line 38, there was Flesh's rocket ship.
Oh, interesting. And by the way, somebody has saved this on Pinterest.
Yes.
Well, yeah, see, the little curve, I think, adds some je ne sais quoi. But it does look like Jeff could be in there. I don't want to dwell on this too much longer.
Are we still going to have our E rating on Apple Podcasts?
I don't know. I'm telling you that I've been influenced. I've been influenced by the $20 million.
Okay, all right, yeah.
I'm trying to do sexy talk.
I've got
I
a
hear
porn
it
tube
pays.
story coming later. So
That you just did.
I hear it pays. By the way, the tech workers are coming back to the Bay Area. Turns out maybe, moving to Montana wasn't all it was cracked up to be.
Or Montana didn't like them.
Yeah, maybe. They quoted a developer named Greg Osuri who decided he had enough of the Bay Area. It's just a hellhole living here, he said. The founder of a cloud computing company called Akash Network. He left for his sister's townhouse in the suburbs of Columbus, Ohio. But by March, you guessed it, Mr. Osuri was itching to return. He missed city life, meeting new people, running into acquaintances on the street, getting drinks with colleagues. I guess he came back to that hellhole in April.
I'm sorry, Ohio.
You know what? He probably missed talking tech everywhere. I mean, because whenever I'm in San Francisco, I have to admit I get really sick of it simply because I'm sick of
talking tech.
You're in tech. You're in tech.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're keen on that, it's probably a real letdown to meet real people.
Yeah, good point. That's why I stay here in my hermetically sealed chamber. Wait.
Stay on Bezos for 1 second. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Well, first, let us acknowledge his PR staff.
Amazing.
Didn't work at all.
Oh, they were terrible.
Huh?
For him to say thank you everybody for buying all my employees.
That was a big mistake.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
So he thanked Amazon customers and employees for allowing him to fly into space.
For paying for.
Yeah. He has said in the past that he considers himself a lottery winner for becoming the richest man in the world, worth almost $200 billion. Yeah, that was a little tone deaf. But
and then the cowboy hat, it was very Dr. Strangelove to me.
It was a little weird. But he's bald. Yeah,
that was playing to the crowd, though, right? Wasn't it?
Wouldn't you
Texas?
want to wear a hat if you were going to go up 80 kilometers above the Earth's surface?
Closer to the sun, yes, I would. Cover the dome.
Yeah, you got to cover the dome. Cover the dome, baby. Yeah, that was a little tone deaf. But I think maybe PR probably doesn't have a lot to do with Jeff anymore, right? What do you think that he's got a full-time?
Not after the 5th, right? Wasn't that the day, the 5th?
Yeah, he retired.
He's done.
He's done.
I'm sure. No, but the Amazon PR team is definitely like, gosh, dang it, Jeff.
He doesn't care anymore.
Son of a biscuit. Why'd you do that to us?
All right, but here's my question to you: If money and morals were not an object, and the environment and everything else, would you take it? And if so, which ride would you take?
I would 100%. Without morals, yes, I would go into space. I am so eager to see our planet from above.
Oh, yeah. I don't blame them for doing that. It's, every boy's dream to sit atop a giant penis and watch it.
Wait, what?
I was going to say every person's dream, and then I'm like, nope. You kept going, and I was like, nope, you're right.
No. You didn't want to. No.
I would take the the trip as long as I'm coming back.
I'm so sorry.
It's that whole going to another planet and staying.
Oh, no. That's a bad idea.
No, I want no part of that. But
I would like.
I figure.
I'll be honest.
I'm
I
old
would like
enough.
a couple of orbits.
I'd go die on Mars.
I'm not doing orbits either. Just let me go up just far enough to see
Jeff,
more of how big this planet is.
Mars is not the place to raise a kid. I hear it's cold as hell.
He's done raising kids. He's saying
Well, that's what I'm
he'll go
saying.
die on
I'm
Mars.
old. I'll go there and die.
Yeah.
That's what I figure. Send
Unfortunately,
old people
Mars
there.
does not need journalists.
Wait a minute, you just said send the old folks there to die?
No,
I'm an old
just,
folk. I'm saying me. I'd go there and just say, okay, I know that I'm not coming back. It's okay. I'm old. It's
Yeah,
all right.
okay.
I'll, see how long it lasts.
Okay. There's
All right, but which I'm still going to ask my question. Which one would you?
Oh, definitely Jeff's, because he had bigger windows, and his was less.
really? That's your selling point, huh?
Oh, wait a minute!
You're going up there to
you didn't
see
read
the view.
tweet? You didn't read the tweet? He had better windows. His had done more launches, so it was safer, and he was environmentally better.
Yeah.
Because it didn't
Hydrogen.
use hydrazine or whatever. It uses hydrogen. So yeah. Oh, I would definitely go to Jeff's.
Yeah.
I don't think the height makes that much difference. I hear it's the girth.
I'm stepping away from that one.
I'm gonna push you out of your chair and just push him off the set.
I'm stepping away.
This is the time when we're just
Again, I just give kudos to he and Branson and their staff for just furthering the research that just may make travel better for us.
I think we kind of knew how to do all that already, right? I mean, it wasn't like we didn't do it.
Maybe there's
60
a way
years ago.
Maybe there's a way this would be cheaper down the road. Who knows?
You know what? Let's be honest. It's all about creating a business, a $250,000 ride business, right?
Yeah.
Although Bezos,
But all of that stuff trickles down. People didn't just jump on commercial air flights because they could back in the days. That was a line of privilege to be able to do that.
So apparently the Washington Post is slagging Bezos for wearing the cowboy hat.
Why?
He was in Texas.
He's in Texas.
He was in Texas.
It could have worn a
other-
space helmet, I guess.
Well,
but-
look up Dr. Strangelove cowboy hat.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. They'll have a final scene of Dr. Strangelove when the guy is riding the nuclear bomb.
Oh, yeah.
down.
He is riding the bomb down. Yeah.
Cowboy hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's his name? The great Slim Pickens. The great Slim
right.
Pickens. Yeehaw! Ride 'em, cowboy!
5-gallon hat, though, says Chicken Head in the chat. It wasn't a 10
It wasn't 10 gallon. They do say, and I think it's true in this case, all hat, no cattle, right? Although maybe you never know. Jeff might own, quite a bit of cattle.
He may have ridden a horse. We don't know.
He's from Texas. His father was a world-renowned unicyclist.
That has
Interesting.
nothing to do with cowboys.
Could he
Interesting.
dribble basketballs at the same time?
That is a skill.
I don't know.
It is a skill.
Let's do the Google changelog. Let's take two. Let's do the Google changelog.
The Google changelog.
There it is. DDoS. Google has a new tool to defend against attacks launched by botnets. Actually, Google's had a Project Shield for some time, which is a free service from Google that protect human rights, government, and media organizations against DDoS attacks. Really, the best way to defend against a big DDoS attack is to have an even bigger pipe. That's how DDoS works, is by jamming the pipe. They unveiled a public preview, I think today, actually, of CloudArmor's adaptive protection, a machine learning-powered method of detecting and protecting enterprise applications and services from Layer 7 DDoS attacks. Layer 7 is the application layer.
I'm sorry, I'm not up to snuff on my OSI model.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Good job, Ant. Very
Well
good.
done.
I was all set.
Yeah. You were ready to jump in, Stacy?
I was like, I can tell you what layer 7 is.
Yeah. I think it's kind of...
I can tell you 1 and 2, but between 3
I know,
and
Was it application
6,
or
it gets a little
presentation?
hazy.
Oh, good.
Is it application or presentation?
There you go. I think it's application layers. 7.
Okay.
Yeah. Because basically,
it's application layers.
These are SYNAC floods and things like that.
Well, 5 through 7 is like the application layer, basically, isn't it? Let's see.
I don't remember. I don't really care. In fact, I read an article recently said this OSI 7-layer model really has nothing to do with reality.
Derail the change log, folks.
Sorry, go on. You're right.
Mr. Jarvis is like,
layer 7 application, layer 6 presentation, layer 5 session, layer 4 transport, layer 3 network, layer 2 data link. There is no layer 1.
There is 2. It's the PHY. It's the physical layer.
Physical
2
layer.
is your MAC layer. 3 is your network protocol kind of stuff. Well, so is 4, but anyway.
Here's a pretty picture of these 7 layers of OSI, which honestly does not reflect modern networking, I think, but that's fine. Moving right along.
Sorry about that.
Story 2. There is a big Chrome 0 day, so get your Chrome updated, kids. There's also a new version of Chrome 92 for iOS, that has some nice features, including biometric unlock for incognito tabs. So you can, if you don't want your mom to see what you've been looking at, unless your mom looks exactly like you, you can actually, apparently Florence Ion.
That.
Was it Georgia Dow or Florence Ion? Florence Ion's mom looks exactly like, it was Rosemary Orchard's mom. Looks enough like her that she can unlock her phone.
Yeah.
So you got to trust your mom, I guess. Also, full page screenshot support. That's a very nice feature that you see in Android now, where you can have a page so you don't see the whole thing, but it'll screenshot the whole thing, which I think is very nice. So get your Chrome 92. So you had this happen to you, Jeff. You were locked out of your Chromebook.
So what happened was people were getting locked out of their Chromebooks, and the warning went out, whoop, whoop, whoop. Don't update your machine. Don't turn it on again. Don't do anything.
Not just yet.
Right. And so, but because I have my old grandpa Pixelbook and the battery's going bazonk, and I thought that the switch on my strip was on when it was off, suddenly, boom, power gone.
Oh.
Because it goes down, it goes from like 55% to 0, like that. Turn it back on. And I've always had this fear, what if I forget this password? I know this password, but I go through lots of passwords. I use this password.
And your Google password is, I hope, long, strong, and random.
Yes, it is, right. But I've had variations on it over time, right? So I can mix it up. I couldn't get in.
Oh.
And I thought I blamed myself. I thought, oh, geez.
No, they had a bad update, I guess.
Variation. And I then had to, and I gave up. And I was afraid. I didn't know what the limit on the number of tries it was. So then I had to do forgotten password for my machine, which means I had to go through all kinds of Megillas all over. I had to do blood tests. I had to get x-rays. I had to do all kinds of things. And that got messed up in other strange ways. But because I could remember an old recent password, it let me restore. Otherwise, it was about to say, okay, you can get your machine back, fella. But I'm erasing everything on it, which wasn't a big deal on a Chromebook.
Right.
But nonetheless,
I
remember the old password. I got it back, and I thought, well, that was W, Jeff. And I'm not so sure it was W, Jeff. It might have been, but I think I got struck by this.
When was this that happened?
What was it, 2 days ago? I forget. No, I don't. Ever since the pandemic, I don't know when it is.
This story is from yesterday. The Google posted on the system status page is working on a fix.
It was last night.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, this could have been. The fix is out. It's updated. They also pulled the update.
Oh, is it now?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So if you go to the system status page, this is cool. They have status not just of server issues, but of bugs and other problems. So fully resolved, it says. Users unable to log in after updating to 91.0.4472.165.
Sweet, that was fast.
And if you got that update and you haven't yet installed it, don't. But you shouldn't. They've pulled it.
But I don't. If you got locked out, I don't know how you get back in.
Yeah, that's a problem.
They probably have flags on those records.
According to Google, the only options to immediately regain access to your Chrome OS device will lead to the local data on the device being wiped.
Yeah.
If you can wait until the new fix is released, though, your device should automatically download that update as well, and maybe that'll fix it. Or you can manually trigger the update using the guest account. If your computer has downloaded the bad update but not installed it, turn it off. Don't do it. And of course, you can always power wash. That's the beauty of these things.
Mm-hmm.
But
one report said he couldn't. I don't know what. I have no idea what happened. But yeah.
Well, maybe he'd never power washed.
I didn't know I was part of a changelog story in my own life. I didn't realize it was going on.
Google Maps now helps you avoid people on the train. That's a very specific feature.
For someone who's dreading going back to New York, there's many reasons I like that feature.
Yeah, well, technically, what it allows you to know is how crowded a subway car is. And they've expanded that feature to more than 10,000 transit agencies in over 100 countries. And in New York and Sydney, you can even see live crowd data down to each transit car. So you won't merely know how busy the platform is. You can actually see how busy the car is. I guess that would help you choose an emptier car, right? You can even see
I went into
numbers.
the city for the first time. Go ahead, Ann.
No, I was just going to say that headline, I refused to click on it just because of that headline. Because I knew, I was like, there's no way this is worth it. So
look at it.
Gizmodo, you didn't get my click.
Look at it. Here it is. This is the Jamaica train. The least crowded cars are the 8, 6, 5, and 1 car on a 10-car train. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
We think this is cool, but it's also surveillance. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, no.
How would they know that?
Not because it's just saying how many people there are. There's that many phones.
just
Relax. Time for the moral panic bug.
I don't have it here. I'm gonna have to draw one.
So
up.
I went into the city last Thursday for the first full day. I was honestly completely drained, completely exhausted. I slept for 9 hours. I took a nap the next day.
Emotionally exhausted or
everything.
yeah.
Everything. Commuting in, the feeling of the city was sad. The nerves.
Was it kind of quiet, or were there?
No. That would have been better. It's just the things that are shut down.
There's a lot of businesses
things that
shuttered in our neck of the woods as well.
And I love New York. I've always loved New York, but the smell and the sound that I was used to before, suddenly I wasn't used to.
Yeah.
The people around me who didn't have masks on.
Now you know why Lisa thinks New York smells. You can finally smell it.
She's right. Lisa, you're right.
You and I are just used to it. We like that smell. Google Maps, though, be careful when you follow directions because, according to some, they offered some bad suggestions. In fact, a potentially fatal hiking trail in Scotland.
This is so
Spain.
silly.
What?
Because if you are, no one should use Google Maps while they're hiking. You need to use a dedicated trail app because there's not GPS. There's not as many people. I mean, they don't send their vehicles out there. It just strikes me as like, if you are going to go into the wilderness, which if you're doing a real hike, then you need to prepare for it. You can't just grab. I mean, there's so many people getting rescued every year because they just walk into the wilderness with their smartphone.
Yeah, but those people aren't dedicated hikers either. They're just sort of casual about it. Oh, we're out on vacation.
I know, but if you're going to,
so they're not going to know
This comes from the John Muir Trust and Mountaineering Scotland, the national representative body for mountaineering, hill walking, climbing, and snow sports, warned that hiking routes to Ben Nevis, Scotland's second highest mountain, could put people at risk. They cite a route being provided on Google Maps which directs users to a car park at the head of Glen Nevis, all fair, but then displays a dotted line that appears to show the path to the top of the mountain. The path, well, this is what Heather Morning had to say. Even the most experienced mountaineer would have difficulty following this route. The line goes, if it's in Scotland, I have to do this.
He's going to do it.
The line goes through very steep, rocky, and pathless terrain where even in good visibility it would be challenging to find a safe line. And in low cloud and rain, and the suggested Google line is potentially fatal, laddie. So don't take that route.
I can't
just because it's there. It's not good.
I try to sit here with a
Hey, does anybody use Google? What are you talking about? Does anybody use Google bookmarks?
Yeah. I just saw this. I'm very upset about this. I mean, wait. They keep on mentioning maps. I don't understand why maps is in here. Like bookmarks, when you go bookmark a site, They're going to get rid of that?
No, that's not what that means, right?
The service will no longer be supported after September 30th. To save your bookmarks, click on Export Bookmarks. I didn't even know Google had a bookmarking service.
You
I
go
use
up to the
Pinboard.
Yeah,
you go to the bar, and
Is
there's
it
a
the
star
Chrome
there, and you
bookmarking
click
bar?
the star.
No. That's your local bookmarks.
They sync across your account too.
Yeah, but
They
this
sync
is
across everything.
Yeah, but that's I don't think that's what they're talking
This
about.
is so unclear, and it has me very upset.
Now I have to log into Google just to.
And then you got to find out what's going on.
Now I got to actually look up what the story's
provide
about
some
when I
actual
talk
real
about it.
information.
Oh my God, you guys are driving me nuts.
Okay, people are confused.
So-
Google Bookmarks is a really old service that predated Google's Bookmark Sync in Chrome.
Yeah.
Says Scooter X.
Yeah, this is like Delicious. Remember Delicious?
Oh, yeah.
Or Pinboard?
Oh,
Won't affect browser bookmarks.
And in
Jesus,
fact,
people,
I don't
stories are just
have very many bookmarks in here. The ones I do, actually, I'm kind of glad I have these. They're really old from like, and by the way, some of them are from maps. That's why. I guess when you pin something in a map, it actually makes.
How
a
do you
bookmark.
find out what's that URL you go to?
So I click it, and it will take me to.
No. That was. How did you get this list?
Bookmarks.google.com. So for some
never,
reason, I
ever done that.
I
Now I'm
bookmarked
curious to
this
see.
hotel in Germany. I guess I was staying there. Or here I bookmarked. Is this your address? 11301 Domain Drive, Austin, Texas 78758. I don't know why I bookmarked that.
that's a shopping center in Austin.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, it's right
it's like
next.
Nordstrom's or Saks.
Yeah, it's right next to the Shake Shack. I might have been going there. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know exactly where that is.
Yeah.
I don't even know how this got in here, but I have one, and it's
Yeah, I have
College
one,
World
too.
Series, Colorado Rockies, ClemsonMonitor.com.
My most recent is from 2019. My oldest is from, it looks like 2011. So these are pretty old.
I bookmarked the Harpa Concert Hall in Reykjavik. I've never been there, but I want to go there.
Oh, wait a minute.
Maybe you want to go?
I do have older
do.
ones. Apparently, I kept
See,
booking.
Google knows.
Dude, you use this service.
I
Pages
bookmarked
and pages.
He used everything once.
I got MySpaces on here. This is how old this is.
He used this more than once.
Wow. Wow. This is interesting. Yeah.
You're
this-
promising me my bookmarks, which are vital for book research that I have coming up, are safe. You're promising.
Yes, this is not the bookmarks on Chrome. That's something
Yeah,
completely.
this is a whole
These are
different
really
service.
old bookmarks of mine. That's just actually fascinating. This is, who knew this existed?
Who were you
Who
10
was
years
I?
ago?
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Like this is where our website was running on SoftLayer way back in 2011. That's a Texas company.
There's probably links in there to I love Facebook and Twitter is cool.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I'm surprised to see MySpace. I must say. Here's Friend Feed.
Friend Feed.
My link on Friend Feed, which for some reason did Facebook buy Friend Feed? I think they did. That's right.
Well, he
They
didn't get
bought
rich off
him.
of it,
Yeah.
Well, they didn't really buy him either.
Yeah. All right, anyway, so if you use bookmarks, export them. They'll be gone September 30th. Actually kind of fun to take that trip down memory lane.
Yeah.
Are you going to export them?
Or just introduce it to me because I didn't even know this existed.
Most of what's on there for me is from maps, starts places on maps.
Okay.
So that's why they mention maps.
Okay.
Good news. Thank God Google has redesigned its emoji to be more authentic.
Well, it's in the process of doing that.
Oh.
We talked about emojis.
Well, it's going to
last
change the
week on Tech
bikini
News
emoji.
Weekly.
The bikini emoji will be more authentic? I think that's all about empowering women, probably. The pie
$60
emoji.
million.
The pie emoji looks like an American pumpkin pie right now. That's fine for Americans, but in the UK, the design looks more like a tart. The new, more universal design should fix this, according to The Verge.
Okay.
Okay. The bikini...
I always get confused about this. I thought emoji were universal.
Yes.
How are Google's emoji different from Apple's emoji?
I'm so glad you asked.
I knew you would.
Emojipedia.
Emojipedia is the place to go. So the way it works, the Unicode Consortium, the folks who define the emojis.
Which Jenny Aitley is a member of.
Yes, as is Jeremy Brugge, who is the creator of Emojipedia. They only give you a text description and a suggested emoji, right? But every company can design its own. So In fact, if you go to Emojipedia, you can see what Apple's look like versus Clubhouse versus Discord versus Facebook versus Google. Look at all of these. Each one of them has their own style and look of emojis. And so you could pick the one you like the best. These are Apple's emojis.
And when you put an emoji in your email,
you get it's a Unicode character. No, it gets
rendered by the recipient.
That's right.
As what you saw, or
as what they see. Have. What you basically send is a Unicode number, and that number corresponds to the emoji, but does not say anything about the design.
I could put in a good, decent pie emoji or bikini emoji, but the other person could see something very different from what I thought they're going to see.
Yes, that's right.
Oh. Now I got to take.
I mean, it'll still be a pie, Jeff. It just won't be the pie you're looking at.
But will it?
Well, I don't know. The bikini one's going to be improved. There could be something wrong with the old bikini one. I'm now nervous.
Well, the old one apparently had an invisible person wearing the bikini, and they decided, well, that's too scary. So now we'll have a person, I guess.
So
I don't know.
They're going to put a person in the bikini now?
Because
they used to just,
I'll have to read the article.
Be the floating garment.
I saw the word bikini.
Okay, keeping going on the changelog. Here we go.
Garment.
It's a ghost in the bikini.
So the bikini emoji no longer looks like it's being worn by an invisible person. The face mask emoji now shows a face with its eyes open instead of closed. Because masks have become a universal way of showing kindness to others rather than a symbol.
True that.
See, it used to show somebody looking sick.
Interesting.
And then it showed somebody happy. So look, here's the old one. Oh, I'm sick. I feel bad. I'm happy because I'm saving the world.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it looks self-righteous? No. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm just going to stop.
This is not the first time. There's actually a list of times Google has tweaked its emojis.
Yes.
Yeah, its emojis are not as good as other people's.
Terrible.
I will be.
They aren't.
I mean, as someone on an Android phone, I have some serious emoji envy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a question. Who do you like? Remember, they used to have these thumbs, but now the thumb tips emojis. But yeah, Google's are very material designy, very flat. Who has the best
Those
emojis?
are Apple's that you were looking at.
No.
But Google's looks just like that.
No, this is Google.
No, Apple's look better than Google's.
Yeah. This is Google.
There's charts
Apple.
that'll compare them.
Apple's more kind of 3D.
I see. It has a little more shading.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think the Apples have more detail. Although I've always had a complaint with the dancing woman. I feel like her skirt is a little too short. I just want to say the Apple has made it a little more provocative.
She's risque.
Did you have a problem
it.
with the bikini emoji?
I've never seen it. Honestly, I have never.
I've seen it.
See, see these emojis? They have little MacBooks in front of them. Yeah,
of course they do.
Yeah, of course they do. There's the ninja.
Wow.
There's a lot of emojis now.
A hell of a lot. Well, Unicode has what, 16,676?
All of these things just really make me feel old, as I can never understand them in the context day to day because they're not all obvious.
Doesn't Queen Pruitt send you messages in emojis?
Yes, which is why I never understand her.
Don't your children send you emojis?
They know not to because I don't understand them.
Oh, you're so old, Dad. See how nice the fruits and the vegetables look in the
No, their animals look great.
Their animals are so real.
That's
so
great
good.
Detail. That's great detail.
Yeah, they really, I think Apple takes great care. Look at that donut. Doesn't it make you just want a donut? Here's Apple's. Compare that to Google's. Look how crappy Google's looks.
Yeah.
Samsung's okay.
Microsoft might take the cake for crappy.
There's no cake. There's no cake in that donut. WhatsApp has pink icing.
Microsoft said they got bigger fish to
Twitter's
fry.
also very kind of abstract. Facebook's is the most realistic. You could taste that donut, can't you?
Skype
there's
is
a
Microsoft,
strange podcast I just heard where people just talked about nothing but donut emojis. I mean, if something really happened like lightning and thunder, then I can imagine, having a real conversation. But just out of nowhere, they spent, I don't know, half an hour, not on donuts. That might be okay, but donut emojis.
I ain't gonna kid you, Jeff. That $60 million is calling.
Or you could start one for Substack,
Oh yeah, they're doing a podcast network, aren't they?
Yeah.
Wow.
Substack.
Controversial people.
Sigh.
Yeah. Google is rolling out a new feature that you might like. I wish I had for this show. Delete the last 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, in this case,
TikTok can do that.
Your Google now is going to be really interesting.
In this case, it's search history. So this is another one where if mom can unlock your phone, you might want to take advantage of this.
I heard there's good Sudoku videos. I'm going to search for that. I forgot where they are. I'm going to search for that again.
Oh, no. I watched that whole
I honestly,
video.
now that I know there's actual money in podcasting, I'm going to change the whole tone of this show. And that's the Google changelog.
Oh, boy. So Google changelog, we had OSI model, we had
a lot of rat holes,
fake donuts, and what else?
Rabbit holes.
Did you guys last week talk about Anthony Bourdain and the deep faked voice?
No, sir. That was only on
No, because it had come out like during the show or right after.
Right.
By the way, isn't deep fake a little strong? Isn't it? It was electronic impersonation, right? They had hired an actor. Deep fake makes it sound so.
So it's no, it wasn't an actor. It was done.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Via AI.
Yeah. So it's a documentary called Roadrunner, a film about Anthony Bourdain, who I loved, really did, admired greatly. The film had the usual, clips and so forth. But there were 3 places where the filmmaker, Morgan Neville, said he wanted to use material Bourdain had written. So it was his words.
Yep.
But he never said them out loud.
Well,
so he went to a software company. And this was something we talked about before, which is adding, and Google's been good at this, but there are a number of companies now that do this, where they take a speech synthesized by a computer, but you know how lifeless and robotic that sounds, and then apply an actor's prosody on top of it to make it sound real.
An actor's what?
Prosody.
Oh, how
The
fancy.
way they say their inflections and the way they say their words.
Oh, so radio pro of you. Whoa.
Now how much would you pay? So
$10.
Yeah, it's going down is the problem. So I'm really intrigued by this because they basically made it sound like Anthony Bourdain was saying these words. It's only in 3 different clips. And frankly, I guess they revealed it. Otherwise, we wouldn't even know.
No, they didn't reveal it. Someone realized that the things couldn't have been said by him. Who was it who asked? It was actually a journalist realized it, called or emailed the director, and they admitted it. So it wasn't actually revealed.
Oh, so they hid it.
Well, I think the director didn't think of it as... I mean, I still think they were wrong to not disclose, but I am a journalist, not a documentary filmmer, so I don't know what rules they work under.
Yeah, maybe I think the best thing to do would be leave that out, to be honest. But, documentaries, we forget how easily the filmmaker can use the documentary to change the whole
Filmmaker
story.
still wants to make a story, even though it's just a documentary.
New Yorker staff writer Helen Rosner noticed one line of Bourdain's dialogue that turned out to be computer generated and asked him about it. He said, "You probably don't know what the other lines are that were spoken by the AI, and you're not going to know.
Okay.
We can have a documentary ethics panel about it later." That's a little salty.
Yep.
So that sounds like he
You should never get salty with the press on something like that.
Especially
because
the
then
New
you know
Yorker.
what they're going to do?
Big,
They're going to get revenge.
Yeah. And they're not even going to feel like they're not even going to feel like bad about it.
If this was disclosed beforehand, does it discredit the use
It
of
should say on the screen, celebrity voice impersonated or something. I wouldn't use it. I think it's wrong to use it, period.
Okay.
You could show on. You could look. There's
Just
lots
put
of
a
ways.
caption up and put
You can
music
put a
behind
caption
it,
up
right?
and have David Attenborough read it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of ways to do.
There's a lot of
this.
ways to do it. Yeah.
You don't have to make it fake and real. But believe me, this is going to be a regular occurrence. This is just the beginning.
Well, last week we went over the audio things that you had done on Twit before of the voices and how good they are now.
Yeah.
And that
they've
great
really gotten very
thing
good.
of the things meant to speak Polish, that when you give them English words sound like a Polish accent.
Yeah. Wasn't that interesting?
Yeah.
That was so great.
Yeah. I think
Substack podcast.
you really want to talk about that? Okay.
Well, it's kind of interesting because it's controversial nowadays. Controversial people. So Bob Garfield, who's been a friend of mine over the years, got fired from On the Media at WNYC Public Radio.
He did? Oh, I used to love that show.
Angry. For being angry.
That was inappropriate. I mean, firing him was inappropriate, I think. What was he angry about?
I forget. Well, it never kind of really came out. And so I don't know. And clearly the two hosts.
He yelled a little bit. Big deal, you know?
So then there's John McWhorter, whose work we like, but who's very controversial these days.
I love Garfield. I will be glad. I will be glad to hear him come back, actually.
So it's a
he was fired from New York Public Radio in May for violating its anti-bullying policy. All right.
Okay, that's the policy. That's
shouldn't bully
policy,
people.
right?
Shouldn't make people cry. I've made many a producer cry. I regret it now. But they cry so easily. Have you noticed that?
Oh, don't be a jerk. I have had so many editors be a jerk to me. I'm not even gonna.
Yeah.
No.
Did they make you cry, Stacey? I'm
Leo.
sorry. I'm sorry
Leo.
if they did. I apologize.
You're not empowering.
I had one that started crying in front of me, and that was just really hard.
Yeah, that's bad.
But I probably have been. Yes, I've had people make me cry.
Yeah.
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
And I quit over it too.
Good
I
for
resigned.
you. Good for you. They should
And
never
then-
talk to you like that.
Then the CEO called me back and told me not to resign, and they would we're very sorry.
Substack sees the venture. It's called Booksmart Studios as a way to deepen its commitment to podcasting on its platform.
What Substack's doing is it has Andrew Sullivan. It has.
Did
Glenn
McWhorter go there?
Greenwald. It's
Yes.
Okay, because I know he's not doing the
Yes.
Lexicon Valley anymore.
John
Yeah,
McWhorter.
he's there now.
will
So
be
it's
there.
taking on controversial people is becoming a Substack thing.
Well, to be clear, I don't think McWhorter is controversial.
In some quarters, he is.
Yeah,
Is he?
Yeah.
It's a culture stuff. Yeah.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He signed the Harper's letter.
Oh.
He's out there doing a lot of talk about race in ways that
Oh, I didn't realize. Gosh,
people find controversial.
Yeah.
I feel bad now. I liked his podcast.
No, I'm not saying it's
No, it's
hey,
not-
You can decide whether he's right or wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm not taking sides.
He's
with him.
controversial.
I'm just
well,
saying.
you
he's
know what? If you want to make money in podcasting, you better hire some controversial people. That's where we hired
Like
you.
us. Like us. Yeah.
No, look, as a longtime radio guy, tell me a good radio host, a successful radio host who's not controversial.
That's true. It's true.
That's how you get
Somebody
ratings.
that's going to move the needle.
You fire people up. Yeah, that's what happened to radio or talk radio. I'm sorry to say.
That's what's happening to talk news.
I think it migrated
most
from
part.
talk radio into talk news. I think
'Cause-
that's exactly what happened.
Yeah,
'Cause
everybody's sort of
it
screaming
started
at
with
each other on the
Rush
screen.
and right-wing talk radio, and getting people upset and angry, and that worked so well in radio. Mm-hmm. People said,
Well, you also had trash TV. You had Oprah starting trash TV.
Robert Downey Jr. Morton Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr.
I was like, Robert Downey Jr. What did Iron Man contribute to this?
Iron Man did not. Morton Downey. Wasn't his name?
Yes.
Morton Downey Jr.? Yeah. He used to have a talk show where people would throw chairs all the time.
Yeah. What people don't realize is that Oprah, Phil Donahue started the whole TV talk show. Now I'm talking history. Leo,
Daytime
What's
talk
his
show.
name?
Daytime
Springer.
talk show.
Yeah.
Then Oprah took the format,
Mastered
and
it.
made it even bigger.
Yep.
And then she started getting pretty trashy. And then a lot of people started copying her.
Yeah.
Ricky Lake, a whole bunch of shows. And then suddenly she decided to see the burning bush. I actually refused to be on the show. They wanted me to be on the show for her kind of seeing the light.
Interesting.
And I said no.
So interesting. The Substack podcast will be free, as ours is, but they also, as we do, will offer a subscription for $7 a month, the same amount we charge.
They must have been listening to you.
To be a
I wonder where they
founding
got
member.
that idea from.
It's a nice number. Founding members will get additional perks like merchandise, custom video, and voice messages.
Leo's thinking, oh God, do I have to record 100
Voice messages, huh? Okay. Substack will take a 10% cut of podcast. Oh, this is their newsletter model too. They're hiring people, but they want others to come along for free. They'll take a 10% cut of revenue, and then once its advance payment expires after the first year, each advance payment offer is individually tailored. They got some big names. They're saying six figures.
I guess it's my model: podcast and newsletter.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
We found many writers want to at least try podcasting or wish to supplement their written material with audio. And you can already do that.
Podcasting is easy.
Yeah, it is. You think I'd be doing it if it weren't? They have it. There is apparently an
Some
audio
of us do the research.
That's what I have you for. I bring on people to do the research, so I could just be here and do Scottish accents. That's my job.
That's fair. I can't do a Scottish accent, so I have nothing to offer on that.
I've been told I can't either.
Stacey, you can't do a Scottish accent.
Something
you
we
can't sing. I mean, geez.
What can you do?
Yeah.
I can video or I can record my snores and play them.
And you don't even snore.
Are you saying something about the show right now?
No. And I can hold y'all accountable for being.
Here's a question.
No comments.
Do you think one of the reasons Substack's doing this is because podcasting is so hot and maybe they're hoping this will sexy them up so somebody will come along and buy them up? Maybe somebody called Spotify?
Spotify? And get into the newsletter game? I think it's a smart way to make your content providers happy and to give them a source of revenue. So maybe long term they're like, maybe Spotify, but maybe they're thinking big, like if their model is to be like the infrastructure for independent content providers, you have to have a newsletter, content,
events,
podcast,
events.
You need a website too, because if you're running a newsletter, you got to put your stuff somewhere so it gets searched.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Let's wrap this guy up, unless you got something else you want to.
This made me think about, I saw a tweet from Mr. Mike Elgin. Tumblr starts testing Post Plus, which allows users to charge their followers a monthly fee.
Tumblr's still around?
Yeah, Tumblr's back because they got sold to Automatic.
And Automatic,
the WordPress guy.
He tweets, he says, charging for Tumblr might be going too far. And I just responded, why so? And he says, well, because Tumblr is mostly a static, old school medium that is perfectly positioned to benefit from being one of the last remaining bastions of 100% free content on the internet.
I hope they can do something with Tumblr, because I think Yahoo, Tumblr was pretty interesting. Yahoo bought it. They didn't hurt it too badly. They left it alone. Then they kind of started to censor content, and then it got sold to. Did it get sold to Verizon? Was it part of Oath?
Verizon is when they started censoring content.
Verizon.
Yes. I think Yahoo did it before, but Verizon obviously wasn't going to allow adult content on Tumblr. And I feel like it's kind of fallen off the face of the earth. The funny thing is, there was a lot of adult content, but it was also the easiest way to make a really good-looking blog. And I think a lot of young people, really young people, like kids, 13, 14, 15-year-olds, used it for their interests. And I thought it was a great...
Well, remember, the founder of Tumblr was about that age when he started Tumblr.
Yeah. Nice. That's right. I liked Tumblr a lot. David Karp. Alex Karp is now a millionaire thanks to Spotify. No, that's somebody else. I think the next thing we should do, because Stacey wants to go have a waffle.
She's already had her waffles.
Yeah, I've had my waffles. It's time for dinner pre-rowing.
Would be to get our picks of the week coming up next. Let's start, as we always do, on the picks of the week with Stacey Higginbotham.
All right. This is a book recommendation brought on by my latest obsession, which is rowing. This is an old book, but apparently they're making a movie of it, and it's called The Boys in the Boat. It's a good time to read it if you're into this sort of thing, because it's summer and you can imagine yourself rowing, and also because it is the story of the 1936 Olympics in Berlin and the U.S. rowing team and their improbable win there. And this guy could use an editor, but it's a really nice story. And as I told my husband, it feels like a guidebook because there's a lot of history in there and there's a lot of sports. So if you like history and you like sports, and it has a lot of Washington State. So as a person who lives here, it was really interesting to see kind of Washington during the Depression era, basically the 30s, the early 30s. And then it's, if you're into rowing, you already know about this book.
Edward
More
Herman.
people should. It's a good book.
Edward Herman reads it on Audible, so I like his narration. So that looks good. I'll add that to my Audible wish list. The boys.
Yeah, you
book.
can add it to your Olympic Audible playlist.
And of course, there's always 3 men in a boat. You've read that. It's not quite as many as the 9 boys in a boat. I'm not kidding. Have you ever read 3 men in a boat?
I'm going to go with no.
To say
I've seen
nothing,
3 Men and a Baby.
To say nothing of the dog. It is one of the best old English books about rowing down the Thames.
Oh.
It's hysterical. Well, it came out in 1889. It was hysterical back then.
I see.
I think it's a period. You have to understand it's a period piece, but it's a classic. You should read it by Jerome K. Jerome. 3 Men in a Boat, to say nothing of the dog. Could go with the boys in the boat, to say nothing of the Nazis. And your pick of the week, or your number of the week, Mr. Jeff Jarvis.
So my number is either CX9 or CX5.
CX9.
A wonderful user named Woody Nash DM'd me that he might have found my new Chromebook.
Oh,
the CX9.
Boy. $750.
I want to get your professional opinion here. Now, I had a conversation in DMs with Mr. Toffel. We'll get back to that in a second, but we'll start with the CX9.
He, as you know, he likes Acers, but this is ASUS.
This is ASUS.
ASUS.
No, Kevin. Well, we're going to get back to Kevin in a second here. So this is the ASUS CX9. Very thin. Lots.
It's got that weird screen thing.
It is strange. How's that going to feel in the lap?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Now, I might keep the heat off the lap.
I think it's better in the lap because
you won't notice that on your lap. I've tested a Lenovo or
a number of people are starting to do this. I think the Legion does it.
You won't feel a difference. It's nice on the desk for the ventilation.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a nice looking machine. It's
Thunderbolt 4, USB-C, USB 3.2, HDMI, micro SD card slot. It comes in the i3, 5, and 7 models, up to 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gigs of SSD, M.2 SSD. So it's basically a high-end PC running Chrome OS.
1.05 kilograms. 16
that's nice.
millimeters.
Yeah, it even has Stacy's favorite Wi-Fi 6 in it.
Wow.
It has the trackpad can become a numeric pad.
That's a little weird. ASUS does that. It's kind of strange, but I guess if you need a number pad, you could see the keys show up on the trackpad. Up to 4K, 14 hours they say. Though I don't know which. Well, you won't get 14 hours on a 4K screen.
14K, right? And so I was getting excited. I was getting so excited. I was going to do my Leo imitation and almost just buy it.
Well, you should.
It's already sold out.
It's already sold out. Wow. Yeah, they just announced it yesterday.
Yeah.
What did Toffel say?
So Toffel, I see him, and being the contrarian that he is.
He says, stop emailing me.
Yeah, he says, Jarvis, leave me alone. Jesus, get a life.
It has a fingerprint reader, too. Does that work with Chrome OS? Could you unlock with a fingerprint? That would be
I guess the weird thing about
better
that
than
one is
entering
it also
your
says
password.
Touchscreen optional. Now, why would you ever get a Chrome with no touchscreen?
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's so they can do a low price.
He was saying on Twitter that he was lusting after and thinking about an actual purchase of his first replacement in a long time, the Asus Chromebook Flip CX 5400.
Yes. A lot of people like that as well. That's,
So
that's less expensive, I think, isn't it?
By $100.
Yeah.
It's $1,049, and the CX9 is $1,100.
Holy
I'm ready to spend it. I'm ready to do it. My wife may not be for me, but I'm going to sneak it in. So Kevin said, I'm going back to my DMs here. So I said, I see you're tempted by
did you
CX.
ask?
If I
did
could
you
read
ask
this?
his permission to quote his DMs?
Oh, don't.
He was public about.
I'm just checking as a journalist professor. Where do you stand on this?
Yeah, that's a good point.
But he was making the same points in Twitter. And so I thought that I'd get him to say, "Oh, you're right, Jarvis. You must get the CX9," but no, he's hanging by the other one.
He likes the.
You know what? That's him having an opinion, man.
Yeah,
you were complaining.
It is, but
he likes the flip. He likes the flip because it's
like your shrink telling you that you've got to, that I need to go over the bridge and get over it. It's a problem.
What?
I don't know.
I don't like the silver as well as I like the more expensive dark.
He has a very good point. He says the CX9 has a Type C on only one side, only on the left.
You want them on both.
Now, is that a stopper?
Kevin,
I don't know.
Kevin loves
$100 less.
It's nice to have one on each side because then you can plug in on either side, right?
Exactly. And he thinks that the screen hinge thing is weird. So I need Kevin to get a demo model to try to lap test it.
The few laptops that we've had for hands-on tech that had that interesting looking hinge, it does not make a difference sitting on your lap. It barely makes a difference sitting on the desk, but what it helps is just allowing those fans to not fire up and struggle as much because you're getting adequate air. So especially if you're going to have all of that horsepower.
I think the CX9 looks better, a lot better. That's a pretty laptop, don't you think? Yeah.
The CX
fancy.
The 5 that Kevin likes is fanless, and I'm fan phobic.
Oh, interesting.
But I would think that you're right. This one would be probably fanless.
In fact, you might want a fan because honestly, that's a conceit that I think these faster processors really aren't going to run very well without a fan. This is pretty. This is the executive Chromebook. This is designed for the C-level office.
I deserve this.
Yeah.
So which one would you guys?
Well, I'd get the CX9.
I'd go with the 9.
Yeah. It's can you get the other one? Is the other one still?
No, I think it's not out yet.
Oh, it's not out yet. Okay.
Yes, I'm on this. I'm on the notification list for the CX9.
And you're all about your touch screen. Why not just get a tablet?
Why
iPad
did they
Pro, baby?
So this is part of the mil spec. It's mil spec, right? Part of the standard 810H is an altitude test. It operates normally at 15,000 feet. Well, who flies at 15,000
Well, when I go
feet?
up with Jeff in the rocket ship, I want to make sure my machine operates.
I remember my last flight was at 37,000 feet. But okay, all right. I guess on the way you can use it.
Yeah, you cruise there for about 10 minutes.
Yeah. That's interesting. Maybe military flights don't go above 15,000 feet.
So they say.
Maybe that's the...
Well, they're not pressurized.
Yeah. Hey, if it's mil spec, that means nothing. So there. All right. Aunt Pruitt.
All right, my pick. Yesterday was a big day for Adobe. I put it up on my blog at antpruitt.com, where they announced a July update for video, for After Effects, for Premiere Pro, and for Character Animator, and of course the whole M1 Mac support. I mean, duh, you knew that was coming. They've been working on that for quite a while.
Yeah, that's going to be nice.
M1 Mac support, but the cool thing is the subtitles and captioning, because in video today, you're seeing more and more subtitles on the social media side.
On TikTok, on Facebook started. We talked about this yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I did talk about it on Mac Break.
Yeah.
Right. So that's just another tool to go ahead and optimize for
good
your
for
workflow.
social. And unlike the previous transcription utility, which really looked more like subtitles, this is pretty. You can get color. It can be.
You can mark it for
like
your
a
brand.
Yeah. It looks like it belongs on TikTok or Facebook or Twitter or somewhere. Yeah, because a lot of people, I don't have the audio on when I'm looking at this stuff.
Right.
I don't want to bother Lisa or whatever. And so if it doesn't have captions, I'm not going to know what it's about.
It's pretty common.
Yeah.
Supposedly there's a stat that 1 in 5 people have hearing impaired issues.
Wow.
That's...
So it's accessibility. That's just age-related ear degeneration. That's another problem entirely.
Well, I was trying to get my father. We got him a text phone. He's 95 years old. God bless him. He's doing great. But I was trying to scream at him on the regular phone last night. I can't understand you. Yes, use the other phone. What?
Oh, I know. I've done that with my mom. She said, I can't hear you on this iPad.
You should have.
Well, use the other iPad, but I can't hear you on this iPad. I had that.
He was calling me to order toilet paper, so every time I would say new telephone, he got new. Then he said, "Yeah, new toilet paper. I told you I need new toilet paper."
We're gonna be like that in about 3 minutes, Jeff.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Can't wait.
Who's on first story next time?
Yeah. What?
And my other pick is this is a Netflix documentary. It's been out for a while. It's the Chef's Table series.
Oh, you told me about this. I want to see this.
For barbecue, but in particular, episode 3 is the one in particular because that's for Mr. Rodney Scott down in Charleston, South Kakalaki.
Have you had Rodney's good barbecue?
I haven't had his yet, but I watched that episode just this past weekend, and this is why I'm sharing it because it just
Let's
really
go to Charleston
hit
right
me
now.
near and dear in the heart.
Let's go. He does whole
so
hog
great.
barbecue.
Yes, his story is so great. He was, discovered by the New York Times based on some word of mouth, and things just grew and grew and grew from there. And as I was watching this, because this was the one day I had pretty much the day to myself, because the hardheads were out doing their things and Queen Pruitt was out doing her thing, so I just watched.
It's time to watch barbecue videos.
I just watched some Netflix, and I watched that, and man, I cried a little bit because it made me think about my grandparents, because this stuff is everything that my grandparents and my great-grandparents used to do in Workplace, South Carolina. And
they used to barbecue?
Used to get cinder blocks to make our pits and all of that. And I'm looking at it, I was like,
did they use steel drums to do it?
No, it was all cinder blocks and big grates in the ground.
Oh, wow.
And it was just, I was like, yeah, that's home,
Oh, man.
And it's such a well-done documentary by Netflix.
It's beautiful. Look at this. I can't watch it, though. I'll die.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I would just be like...
I'm getting meat sweats just looking
That's
at it.
the lady in Texas. She's, I can't remember
Look at
her
that
name.
brisket. Oh, my goodness. You can't do barbecue. No. Lettuce barbecue.
No. He was in Australia.
Yeah, no wonder. That's kooky.
But he's good.
Crazy
Throw
talk.
some greens on the Barbie.
Put another lettuce on the
Terrible
Barbie.
accent.
I don't know who did it better, Stacy.
Put another lettuce on the Barbie.
Never me.
Oh Lord.
But Rodney
Scott, I want this. Oh man. Can we just go to Charleston? You could take me around.
I'm all for it.
Let's just do it.
I'm all for it.
Lisa, we're going to Charleston.
Yeah, never mind the cruise. You're cruising Charleston.
Let's go to Charleston.
Well, we'll do the cruise in July, but what if we did a Twit barbecue tour?
Oh.
Well, I will preface this. I don't want to go to Charleston, South Carolina in July.
No. We'll do that later in the year. And then, Jeff, I want you to do Jeff Jarvis's pizza tour because Jeff is an expert.
Please and thank you.
Yes. He toured.
Can I have a queso tour?
Magazine.
And you get to
Queso
do
tour?
the queso tour. Oh,
Waffles.
man.
Stacy's waffles.
Waffles and queso.
I mean, I'd rather do queso, for being real.
Yeah,
Or the margarita tour.
Okay. All right. Burrito tour would be good. Yeah.
Guys, I'm going to get so fat. You're so mean to me. Hey, I just wanted to show you something real quickly because everybody says RSS is dead. But we still use it, right? Those of us who have to look at news sites.
It went into space.
I was reading. It went into space. They used RSS in space.
That's the name of the over the hatch.
Is RSS
for Bezos's phallic symbol? It was the RSS first step.
Oh, what does that stand for?
I don't know what the RSS stood for.
Rigid
but I like that RSS
space.
was going into space.
No.
Don't stop right there.
Stop.
Yeah, thank you. And you could be my punch Leo button.
Rigid space shaft. I'm thinking. I don't know.
Thank you.
That's what I would think.
Nope, not going
And
there.
you didn't punch him hard enough. He still tried.
So I was really into RSS for a long time, and I was reading an article on Hacker News, and somebody said, "Oh, I use Sumi News." I said, "What? I never heard of that." SUMI.NEWS. It is a bare bones RSS reader. You can use it for free, but if you want to add more than 10 feeds, then you'll pay him $20 flat fee, one time only, which I did because I thought it was so nicely done. You get a email address, which I won't show, that you can mail articles to add to your Sumi News. But what I've done is I've added the websites that I go to every morning anyway, like Tech Meme and Slashdot and Tech Dirt and Ars Technica and so forth. And I've just added those, and this makes it the easiest way. Now, what's nice about this is it doesn't do a summary. It has maybe like a one-line summary, but these links go right to the site. So basically, it is just a way you can quickly review headlines and maybe one line of content and know if you want to read more. And then I can just click, and it's really great. I just thought I'd tell people about it. It's a very bare bones.
Did I just see a NFL reference on your screen, sir?
Well, let me look.
You and sports ball?
It's probably NFT.
I'm pretty sure I saw Tom Brady's name just now.
Well, yeah, Tom's in the news. He was at the White House.
Oh, okay. That is I was like, what are you doing looking up?
Yeah, but no, this is all tech stuff. I have other news feeds for my news, so I don't know. Maybe there's a...
there it is.
Tom Brady's NFT bump.
There's still...
There you go. You're both
still a tech
Yeah. I don't know. Now I want to read Tom Brady's NFT bump. The NFT producing startup co-founded by Tom Brady has signed exclusive multi-year deals with Tiger Woods, Wayne Gretzky, Derek Jeter, Naomi Osaka, and Tony Hawk.
Oh, wow.
It's called Autograph. I guess these are NFT autographs. You know, that's one of the problems with autographs is proving provenance, right? Yeah. Interesting.
Oh, I was like, is the fact that they're not digital?
Yes, that's the problem. People have to use paper and pen. What good is that?
Physically go someplace and meet the person and have them sign.
And bother them when they don't want it. This can work out well.
Stacey Higginbotham is at Stacey on IoT. You've got to get to her newsletter. It's free. Subscribe.
Yeah, we didn't talk about this.
What?
Read my story. I'm not going to talk about it now because I got to go. But read my story. Amazon is going to support Matter, which is the smart home interoperability standard on most of its Echo devices.
That's very good news. I thought they already said that. That's new?
Nope. Amazon was the only one who hadn't said it.
They were the holdouts.
Google said it.
Fantastic.
Said it.
Google did it. Apple did it. And now Amazon. That's the big three.
Nice.
Yep. That's very good. Except for...
Float well, Stacey. Float well.
She's going to row.
Stroke.
Go row.
Stroke.
Go
Actually,
row.
I'm going to eat, and then I'm going to row.
Eat, then row. That's my life story. No, just the first half.
Oh, see, it's talk, eat, row.
Talk, eat, row.
My version of eat, love, pray.
Thank you, Stacey. Don't forget her podcast with Kevin Toffel, the IoT podcast. Mr. Ant Pruitt, hands-on photography. What's coming up on Hop?
I get to speak with Miss Vanessa Joy, the Canon Explorer of Light, and we're going to talk about using budget photography gear to do professional work. And boy, she's really, really good. And quite frankly, I got a hunch she's going to break the internet when you watch this episode. So
wow.
Just a warning.
Wow, that's exciting. Twit.tv/HOP.
That's right.
And he will be nicely dressed in his Clemson orange and gray.
And the tie. I expect the tie. Thank you for that, Dan.
Is that a Clemson tie?
You're done after this week, sir.
That's one and out. One and done. That's Jeff Jarvis. He is the Town Knight. I can't do it without the card. Where'd my card go? They cleaned up the studio.
Don't bother.
No, I have to do it.
No, we got to do it.
Director of the Town Knight Center for the Entrepreneurial Journalist at the Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Great to see you. Get that. You know, I should just buy it for your birthday.
You can't buy it.
Oh, shucks.
This guy.
Oh, rats. Jeez. So close. Man, they frustrate you at every turn. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time on Twig. Bye-bye.
You know what's fun? Android. You know what's even more fun, though? All About Android. That's my show, Jason Howell, along with my co-hosts Ron Richards, Florence Ion, and we welcome guests on each and every week from throughout the Android ecosystem, developers, Googlers, journalists, people who are all geeked out about the Android operating system. We tell you everything you need to know. Twit.tv/AAA every Tuesday. We'll see you there.